Calling all partners. Losing weight is better together with Nutrisystem's Partner Plan. In fact, people who diet together lose 20% more weight than dieting on their own. Get new premium meals with up to 30 grams of protein. They're big and filling and taste delicious. Plus, try our new restaurant faves that taste like your favorite restaurant, portioned with half the calories. Don't wait. You could win big cash during Nutrisystem's Better Together Partner Plan $100K giveaway. And maybe win the grand prize of $25,000. Just go to Nutrisystem.com/thin right now and get 50% off plus an extra $50 off your first month. You heard me right. Go to Nutrisystem.com/thin right now and get 50% off plus an extra $50 off. Don't wait. This Partner Plan offer will not last long. Just go to Nutrisystem.com/thin right now and get 50% off plus an extra $50 off. Go to Nutrisystem.com/thin. See website for details on our 2-month subscription offer. No purchase necessary. Open only to U.S. residents over 21. Void where prohibited. Runs December 25 through April 4th, 2022. For official rules, visit Nutrisystem.com. Sponsored by Nutrisystem, Inc.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they're kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this 2021 Year of Stardom review. I am with Rich Latta as always. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Just ready for a great review show of possibly Japan's best promotion.
It's kind of looking that way. I mean, it might not be at the peak bell to bell as good as New Japan, but if you tell me stars, people having hot matchups, fresh matchups, people going into next year looking at a new entire slate of matches at the top of the card, it's Stardom. It is not New Japan. But we'll get into that in a second. But first, special guest as always. We have a guest for our year-end reviews shows, and this is no different. For the first time ever on One Nation Radio, we have from the Red Leaf Retrocast, JD. What's going on, man?
Hey, I am happy to be here. I love you guys. I got a couple listeners from my podcast recommended you guys earlier this year.
Oh, wow.
I've been listening to you guys ever since. Love your show. Love what you guys do. Love the wacky opinions. Your Cody hate gets me every week. That is so funny.
Man, I think I'm gonna go crazy tomorrow night when we do this. Just it's gonna be a lot.
Go crazy about that Dustin Rhodes Buff Bagwell match in 2021.
Oh,
yeah, it was a lot, man. Like, and I don't know the Cody stuff. I feel very strongly about a promotion not like drinking poison, and I think what he's doing at times with this new kind of thing he set out on. He's playing with dynamite, for lack of a better word.
Gets those biggest reactions of every show. You can't deny that, whether good or bad.
Yeah. So did like Hangman Page with the cowboy shit, and like you see how that's drawing. So,
ooh, okay.
So, I like hate. My point is this: like, it's really cool that people get reactions, whatever else. Like, are people watching? Because I thought that was the kind of the point. And he has people watching, but I don't think that like. I think there's just diminishing returns on this. Like, this is third title reign, and
very possible.
Like, I don't I unless he turns heel to immediately, like, or not immediately, but like get it to somebody that we haven't playing on mind, like a Jungle Boy or Eddie Kingston, I think that he's playing with fire. But anyway. Let's get back to
conversation. It's about the best promotion in Japan.
Yes. Stardom 2021, man. I don't even know where to start. Normally in these shows, we kind of go with our guests first, and then we kind of work off of them. So like 2021, when you think of Stardom, you think of the momentum. Where do you think this promotion was going into the year, and where do you think it is going out of it into 2022?
Oh man! So I think through, it wasn't just Stardom. It was about every promotion around the world, because we were still in the midst of the pandemic, and there was just so many questions over, is it going to continue? When are we going to get fans back? Especially in Japan, are they going to be able to start cheering? Are these arenas going to be able to run full capacity again? There was just so many questions regarding the business side in Japan, and especially Joshi Wrestling, because make no mistake about it, these companies are in trouble. And I said for a long time all year, it's not going to be during the pandemic we're going to see a lot of these promotions struggle. It's going to be when we start coming out of it, relatively. And boy, did the end of 2021 really bite a lot of these companies in the ass. But with Stardom, over the course of the year, there was a lot of fans, anti-fans of Stardom. They're out there for sure. Where could they continue this momentum heading into the year? Should they scale back were questions. Are they making stars? All these questions were very important. Hey, I don't ever disregard questions, no matter how asinine or relevant they are. But I would say confidently at the end of the year, they have made stars. They have drawn good business. They're one of the only two companies that have actually increased attendance throughout the entire year. The only other company would be AEW. So from a business standpoint, Stardom was a great success throughout the year. And you look at statistics across the board, this company is on fire, and it's arguably it's tied with Noah for the number 3 promotion in the entire country in Japan.
Rich, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. The pandemic threw a lot off in 2020, and I feel like every year that I've watched Stardom, it's gotten better. And this is no exception, as obviously the teenagers turn into young adults, the young adults turn into, early 20-year-olds, and 20-year-olds become, of course we've got another section introduced, like, age-wise into the promotion this year, which was, for me, it wasn't there before. Like, you've got your Dama Del Mondo and you've got your Cosmic Angels. Like, that kind of veteran, experience, I think really added a lot to the promotion, and it gave, obviously the influx of new talent helped, but it just felt like more of that soccer system that I talk about. Like, you're loving to see people go up the levels. We saw a lot of great elevations this year, and going into it, it was like, all right, I know Shuri's like super raw. Maybe it'll go with her. I don't know. But we were coming in off the big Mayu Iwatani reign, and it was we had a lot of questions with Utami. I think a lot of people did. I feel like she answered all of them. And I have to send my ballot in to Dave. I know who my women's wrestling MVP is going to be, so I feel like this promotion would, follow behind Utami.
Just like a lot what both of y'all said, like I look at the top and I look at last year, and I think that given what happened with Hannah and with Arisa and the COVID stoppage, there was a huge whole chunk left out the year, and they kind of had to, they had plans obviously of doing something big and huge with Hannah and Julia, and they had to pivot, and what they pivoted in was something better than they ever had planned. Like, to go from, and I wrote about this, the only time I've ever written about wrestling, but to go from to losing Arisa and losing Hannah, and then like basically saying, you know what, we're going to pair their two greatest rivals and have them go at it, And, you know, to start off, like, they're hitting they're hitting, Tam's hitting Arissa's $13.99, and you have Julia doing the running in place of Hannah stuff as they go at it, and then all of a sudden they're brawling at the end of the match, and you're just like, this is awesome when they're in this ring together. And then they pair that and hold it together, and then get to Budokan Hall after that great feud. And then, like, Mayu is literally, like, at the top, having, like, the ace run that of all ace runs in 2020 to get it to Utami. I thought, is she going to have great matches? Sure. I think quite frankly, she's a lot better at singles matches than tag matches for whatever reason, but she just is. And once I saw that Momo match in December of last year, I was like, okay, I have an idea. I know it's going to go well. Did I know it was going to go great to this level? No. Absolutely no idea. So happy that the way that she's elevated herself. So happy that of the way that she is. Rich has talked about this over the years. How she is like, she looks like a different person, and the way that she carried the main event scene by from the two Micah matches, the Shuri series, basically giving a curveball like, hey, go, Hazuki is back. Go give her a match. I thought she's fantastic, and I thought that her series of tag matches, all that stuff with Shuri was like the best stuff bell to bell in Stardom, on house show level stuff or Road 2 level stuff. And I just thought that, with Shuri, with Tam, with Utami, and I thought that they held up the top 3, spots on the card, on pay-per-views and everything, like all throughout the year at a very high level. And then on the other end, you had like Mayu in the Oedo Tai thing leading to Starlight Kids, like her leaving and her elevating in Oedo Tai. You had Julia like working undercard, like with the white belt at the beginning of the year, doing the tag stuff with Shuri. I thought that like they did a very fantastic job. And then you get to the Grand Prix, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, do we need to just like rename this? This thing was basically like the damn G1 almost. That's how ridiculous these matches were. There were no 5-star matches initially going off, but the floor was higher than the G1's floor, and it was very impressive. And then after that, they refocused themselves towards Osaka Joe Hall and getting out the year. And I thought that with the Momo stuff, it was fantastic. So I thought like outside of wishing they didn't book as many draws, I thought that this was about the best wrestling promotion you could get from top level wrestling to from quality wrestling to top level wrestling to like fresher matchups or matchups that don't feel overdone or overused. And I just really love this year. This is my favorite year watching Stardom. And like I thought 2020 was weird because of the breakdown, but I never would have thought that like by the end of the year we're getting to Sumo Hall. They pulled 3,000 on like a couple days after Christmas, a few days after Christmas, and then they announced they're going to go back to back Sumo Halls at the end of March. So yeah, I especially in comparison to the other Joshi promotions, like they're all struggling. Like Ice Ribbon's 15th anniversary show was like what 530 something people,
518, an absolute failure to draw in one of their biggest matchups they could possibly do.
Yeah.
Now they didn't technically lose any money off it, but it's still a horrible number. That there's no excuse for that part of it. And we could go into a huge conversation over. I know my co-host very much disagrees with my takes on Ice Ribbon these days. He's more on the positive side. I'm more on the doom and gloom side for sure. But there is some ironic hope heading into 2022 with a lot of the departures from the promotion. But that's an Ice Ribbon conversation we're here for. We're here to hit the music. That's the point.
We've already missed it already. Well, look, let's do it now. Go ahead, Rich.
I guess it's time to hit the music.
Okay, so we're back. And I always I can feel like when people do the show or listen to the show on the stream, they're kind of disappointed that we don't actually play the music live. Like, and I always edit it in post. But look, when you go back and listen to it, you'll know it's there. So now we kind of gave our first synopsis that kind of hit the music. Like, let's kind of go through the year.
Well, can I interrupt you there for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned a lot of the top of the card and a lot of the wrestlers being elevated in 2021, and the unfortunate happenings of what happened with Arisa and Hana very much put a hole at the top of the card. And where a promotion is kind of make or break is their ability to really fill those gaps, and especially with the emotional investment with all those wrestlers. Arisa she came back after 6 years. I think it was 6. And she had an amazing comeback year, but she was only in the promotion for 1 year. Yep. That's just a minute amount of time. And I felt like she was much more replaceable from that sense because it was only a year. Hana, that's a once in a lifetime generation type talent. She's much more tough to replace this, and with the emotional impact the roster had, it just you could make a whole podcast just on the journey of Hana Kimura. So where this promotion went afterwards was vital and how they were able to grow, and you can really point to the 5-star of that year as their pivot to making essentially the entire next generation. You wonder why Micah beat Momo on like day one. These kinds of moves really set them up for 2021, and you continue to see that throughout the year with Saya Kamitani's elevation, the conclusion of Tam Nakano going after Julia and the Wonder title, pivoting that in, or not pivot, but streamlining that into the Julia feud with Arisa in a lot of ways. The constant upward momentum of a lot of these wrestlers, and I've heard criticisms that there's too many people at the same level. And is that a bad thing, though? I think with how much this company was able to consistently draw over 1,000 people at a lot of these shows during a pandemic, no other Joshi promotion could say that over the last 10 years. And then for this company to draw 3,000 people twice, let alone the Sumo Hall show, being by themselves, no nostalgia, no big stars of the past. They were the first ones to do this over the last 20 years. To draw that kind of crowd. So this company, what they're doing is clearly working. And the big question now is, can they continue that momentum into where we're at now in 2022 with a new champion, with a new Wonder champion, with lots of fresh talent coming in and out? Because if there's one thing history teaches us is a promotion really struggles when it's stagnant at the top and you don't see people coming in and out of the company. It's just the same people over and over again. I think one of the biggest companies that we see that issue with, at least in Japan, is Noah. Noah's had the same people for a decade, and they've been struggling for a decade. And it's just now they're starting to get some sort of momentum behind them. But can they themselves capitalize on that? That remains to be seen. I'm more bullish on Stardom going forward than, say, Noah. And then Dragon Gate has... Just to compare a lot of other Puro promotions out there, Dragon Gate has essentially 2 generations. They have their 20-year-olds that all make us feel old and terrible, and then they have the BB Hulks and Yamatos of the world in their 40s, where you're going, okay, maybe I could relate to those guys more. They're all broken knees.
Yeah, so I think the thing for me is, as far as keeping the upward momentum from going into 2020, I just think that I think that they're eventually going to have to go with Starlight Kid. Obviously, we know her day is going to come, but eventually they're going to look around and they're going to see that, like, in their, let's say their senior division in the main event scene of Stardom, your 30, soon to be 34 Tam, your 20 will be 28 next year, Julia, your 33 next year, Shuri, your Mayu who's 29 next year. Eventually, they're gonna look around and say, "Hey, like Mayu and Tam, they kind of said they have like a 2-year out here." So obviously Utami was made this year. Fine. That they have that forever now, right? Or for the next 5 years, knock on wood, barring injury, anything crazy, I want to be out of here. Kamatani remains to be seen. I thought her and Micah both showed improved all year long that if called upon, they can do this at a top. They can do this. They can have great matches at top of the card, from the Cinderella tournament final to their challenges for their individual belts throughout the year, to the Grand Prix when they were in the first two nights, both times versus Shuri, and they went out there and they rocked it. So I think, for me, I think that Kamatani is a most improved candidate. I know she still has issues with consistency with her flying, whatever else, but if you need to just have her go there and wrestle and mat wrestle and throw strikes and throw and all that kind of stuff, she has it. She could do that. She can create great matches consistently with that. Sometimes the flying's off. That's the only thing at this point that I feel like fails her. So, for that, you have those two, and then you also have Starlight Kid, who's more over than both of them. It's just they have artificial governor on her because she's roughly 20 years old. So for me, I feel like
make you feel disgusted.
Oh, they
20 years old, better athlete than we'll ever be in our life.
I think that it's a good problem to have,
right?
As far as all those people, on similar levels, seem peaking kind of at the same time as well. Because I really look at it like it's NBA or something. If you're building a team and you got a bunch of guys in age 25 to 29 range, maybe 30, that's the you maximize that you get
right.
you make use of those matchups, and then when it's time to turn it over, that's where your Azumis, your Starlight Kids come in. And I think, as long as they're mixing with that top with that top group, those, I always told James, the day Starlight Kid and Azumi are fighting for the red belt, I'm going to feel like I saw the whole promotion. And it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be just, okay, I'm done here now, or I'll just be so emotionally invested into it. It's those are the last two, but everybody's above them. It's just I feel like the talent and the way New Japan was also in the middle of last decade. I always told people to enjoy it, cherish it. You never know what's going to be gone, and I'm starting to feel similarly to this. Especially when Kumio Roja just randomly shows up, and it's and she's mixing with the top of the card there. So, good problems for the Hat Man.
Hat Man is not bad in my eyes. Not in this regard.
Yeah.
You really want to have that problem though in your promotions. AEW has a crap ton of talent. So what? That's a good thing as long as they consistently show you that talent is being booked. They're being booked relatively well. You see people rising up and down the card. Maybe it's not always your favorites. That's that's an entirely different discussion.
My favorite is a problem.
Right. Yeah, my favorite not being pushed is a problem for fandom, but for business wise, when you start seeing these people, Starlight Kid's being pushed. 2021 was a big year for her. Everyone. There's a lot of Stardom fans, at least from the past, where they felt it was red belt time for her, and we'll hold the brakes here. Let's pump the brakes. We got Starlight Kid with a high speed title. That was story one. She got out of Mayu's shadow. She's going for her. There's so many stories and elevations of these talent throughout up and down the roster that I, as a fan, and just really haven't felt that this promotion has failed really anybody at this point. Now I'm sure a conversation will come out over departures. I guess I'll save that for later. But even then, I've had similar conversations with people in Dragon Gate, and you can kind of point to any promotion. Not everybody can make it, so to say, at the top. Maybe that's okay. Maybe not everyone can be Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz, and maybe you get some Brandon Roy's out there, just bust his knees and he's out.
Poor Brandon Roy.
Yeah, he was so good. He was so freaking good. So, I guess for me, we then talk about COVID. Now, I don't know what the future of this is. I mean, obviously the variant, or the let's call it the Omicron. That's what it's called. The Omicron variant has wreaked havoc in Towards the end of the year, we were expecting something similar to normalcy in Japan, and then no, absolutely. There will be no sun shining. There will be no streamers. Not in Stardom anyway. In small little dinky dojo shows, it will be, but not not at the Ace promotion, Joshi. So that stinks. But I just wonder. Obviously, they were able to run Budokan Hall in Sumo Hall in part because of these COVID restrictions. But I wonder what they would look like. And I'm sure you guys have rough ideas. I wonder like what your top venue show will look like without these restrictions right now. Because I mean 3,000 when people thought that they were only gonna get like 2,000 is a big deal for Sumo Hall. Like, so I really do wonder what they could do. Like, I mean, would they top out at Oda City at like 4,000 seat arena?
Yeah, these are good questions to ask, especially from the business standpoint. Is perhaps, let's look at it this way: is it considered a failure of this promotion for the next year in 2022 that what we've seen is this their peak at 3,000 seat arenas, and they can get anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 on occasion, and they keep filling up Corkin Hall at 800. It would be a disappointing year, but considering that COVID still has these restrictions, and there's, in my eyes, there's no path to that kind of going away anytime soon.
Right, especially over there.
Right. So with that idea, the focus, then I think there should be a little bit growth. There should be still growth going forward, especially with all this new talent being elevated. There is some positive behind 3,000 people in a sumo hall, but who says they have to run those specific arenas? Like it's the conversation I've had with people about AEW. Why aren't they running these high-end 20,000 seat basketball arenas? Why are they running 5,000-6,000 seat places? Well, that's what they're drawing currently. Fill up that arena, and then in time, you're more confident filling up a bigger one. That kind of just goes with doing good business. And if Stardom gets to a point where they can't turn profit margins running these large arenas, getting 3,000 people in, then to me the clear move is just to run a slightly smaller place and fill that sucker up. And if you are confident in your roster and confident in you drawing a bigger business, then you take the stab at the Budokan halls and the sumo halls again in the future.
I'm ready for him to go to the Dome.
I don't know if you know this, Rich, but like Kadani has said like he wants them to run a Dome show like within the next 5 years, or maybe he said that last year, so the next 4 years.
TJPW says sends some wacky things too. Hey, if one or both of these companies run the Dome and they're able to get 48,000 people in there, hey, awesome, pulling for it. I have my doubts.
Like, I mean,
got Raj Khan back.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she'll be on the Tokyo Joshi Pro show when they do the Dome.
That should be in the main event.
Oh man. Well, maybe Maki Ito will finally win the Prince of Princesses belt. Then maybe then, like we teased you guys for 8 long years. She'll finally win it now.
Sure. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
who's she beating for it?
It'll probably be Miyu again. So yeah, I guess we move on from the COVID talk, and we more or less talked about the venues. So I guess let's get into the major title changes and shakeups this year. So actually, before we get into that, JD, on your Patreon, you have a list of your 2021 best wrestlers. And you also have broken down amongst men and women. Let's focus on the women's side now, in particular, given the show. So, just break it down for us. Like, what goes into your formula for spitting out the input for or the output for your declaration of who's the best wrestler in the world or best wrestlers in the world?
Yeah, it's not that complicated. We kept track of it all year. It's between myself and my co-host. We do rankings debates every 2 weeks. Coincides with the bi-weekly normal episodes from Red Leaf Retrocast. And the final episode is going to be a Patreon exclusive, Red Leaf Retrocast Patreon. You can check that out. It'll be a full audio breakdown over the top 20 wrestlers of the year, both men and women, separated. Separate them just to kind of, it's always fun to have a women focus and a men's focus. They do generally don't wrestle each other, so I separated them accordingly. I go to a lot of Beyond shows there. That is the exception to the rule. But the formula and how we do it, it's very simple. Every 2 weeks, we put together a top 15 men, top 10 women. There's more men's wrestlers than women's wrestlers out there in the world. More men's promotions that are high level compared to women's. Fair enough, I think. And we just debate and rank who was the top people over the last 2 weeks. And you get points, 10 points for the women for this purpose, for Stardom. Talk 10 points for first place, 9 points for second, and so forth and so on. And then you just accumulate the points over the year, each and every time, every 2 weeks.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, what promotion in the women's division had the most wrestlers?
In the top 20?
Yes.
Or top 10 in general, or
top?
What do you?
In the top 20, in your top 20 list, yeah.
It's Stardom.
Was it in a landslide or was it close? Because I know, Ice Ribbon, they had a very good top 6. So you can say the same for Tokyo Joshi Pro. So I was just wondering what you how did that spit? What did your votes come back as?
It's at least half are Stardom wrestlers. And that's competing with the world and what we watch.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so let's get to I guess more or less a talk of years. So we more or less talked about Utami as far as like how great her year was, but just going through it, just match by match, you go from the the first Himeka match. Oh, sorry, Himeka. The first Micah match. The the Kamatani match that seemed like that was a Hail Mary. Like something was supposed to happen, but we're not exactly sure what that was. I don't know. It's almost like they were
what's your theory? What's your theory behind it?
It's almost like they asked for permission to get somebody to wrestle on the show that was also backstage that day, but then Vince said no, or Hunter said no, or basically WWE said no. So they were like, "Oh, Kamatani, we're going to make you big in 2022 anyway. Come on down here and get dropped on your head."
I'm not as confident in that. I think if she was going to show up, it was probably going to be in that wacky Rumble that they had.
I saw that too. I just looking at the reporting, and obviously I don't know who is talking to Dave Meltzer from the Stardom Inn. Obviously, a lot of people think it's Fumi relay the conversations that Fumi is having with Rossi. But
Hatman likes to play.
So, from his perspective, it was they asked for permission. They said no. They still wanted Kyrie. They said, we'll put her in the Battle Royal. We'll even let her win. Whatever. And the answer was still no. And, the most they could do is you have a video package, a video message with Io, with Tanahashi at the beginning of the show, but, like, you can't be on camera. So, like, I found it all just weird. But anyway, just getting back to Utami, had the match that, kind of put, in my opinion, it kind of put focus on what was possible for Saya at the beginning of the year, because she was someone that, while she was having good matches, even very good matches from time to time, she was still inconsistent, and she really needed that match to kind of show, improve, especially in a spot like that, because if she goes out there and lays an egg, we're kind of like, we're looking at each other like, oh, this was a huge mistake, and we don't know when the next time we could trust her.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions throughout the roster this year when they were put in prime positions. You can point to January as kind of being that first sign that a lot of their goals of 2021 were putting these young wrestlers in higher end spots, and it was kind of a sink or swim. And I really like that in the roster. I wish more Joshi companies would have the confidence in that. So we saw it with Utami getting Micah first. I myself thought Utami was going to get more veteran presences to get her into first few defenses if they really wanted to establish her as a champion. But the Hetman got balls because he goes, hey, Micah, you're first Cork and Hall. Let's do it. And then Budokan, it's Saya Kamitani. And Cinderella Finals, Saya and Micah. You see a pattern here. They were kind of primed for the get-go all year, and they had confidence in their young roster to really deliver at the top. And, hey, if it doesn't work out, that's one match. Let's try again with somebody else and see if they can maybe they're ready sooner, a situation.
I thought that was like a real important match. Like I've become a really big fan of Saya Kamitani's over the year, and it kind of started with that match. And I think they were in a situation where they had several other big matches, and Utami, it was almost like all right, Utami, go out there and you can. We're not depending on you tonight, so you go have an exhibition essentially. And while we have Tam and Julia, we have Yoshiko coming back to fight Mayu. We have what was the semi?
The semi was the red belt, but you also had Nanai coming back versus Momo. You had Shuri and Konami.
There was a lot. It was stacked. It was at a point where you could take a chance on somebody. Essentially, it's you remember when NXT would be like, all right, we'll just throw somebody in there while we got Gargano and Ciampa going on, and someone else has the belt, and we'll Hideo Itami Babaru, bring your ass out here, something like that. So, I was very impressed by Saya that day. That showed me that she would take the whoopings, and I've liked her ever since.
Yeah, that card, that Budokan card, and the position of a lot of these wrestlers was also a good indication of how they were going to go about booking for the rest of the year. They could have easily just put Nanai against Mayu in the semi-main, or even the main event. A lot of these other Joshi promotions, most of them anyways, they really rely on nostalgia. Or stars, I'll put that loosely at this point. Stars of the past. Look, as much as it hurts people, Aja Kong isn't drawing 5,000 people anymore.
hurts my heart.
It's the truth. I mean, you watch her in that AEW tournament, and it's a hard watch at times these days. And to really position your roster to always be above people like that. Is confidence in your wrestlers, confidence in your booking, and confidence in the future.
Yeah, it also helps that there was no way in hell that Aja Kong was going to show up to that show any damn way, even if they.
Well, no, that's yeah. Not her, but yeah.
Hello, this is who. Click. Can you believe Raja called me? The audacity! We went to court. So, it was a really big moment for her, and it was also a big moment for Utami because that was the first time I ever felt not to say that she couldn't, but it was the first time she ever had to show that she could carry somebody in a way. Me watching, I thought it was a great match. I didn't like it as much as other people did because I kind of felt that this all is setting up for that one spot where it's the BT bomb is getting turned into a Hurricane Rana for a near fall, and everybody that watched that match, that loves that match to death, that was what near fall of the year for a lot of them. For me, I was that's what this match completely hinges upon. So I knew the magic trick was coming. But outside of that, it was still a great match. And then from there, you get the match with B Priestley that was set up where B is she beat Momo earlier in the year. She's beating every other member of Queen's Quest to get to April, and then they even went to the draw with Kamitani and B when they spent the first 2 months of the year not beating Kamitani, which was smart compared, in my opinion, especially compared to how they ended up with Kamitani at the end of the year. But they had that match, and I thought that match was great. And next thing you know, like B's retiring, and I'm like, damn, like she left, and like I'm like One Nation Radio is like the I guess almost in the minority of like we are a pro B Priestley and Stardom camp. Like there are a lot of people that don't like her, but I like her. I enjoy her matches. She's really fun in tags. She has good chemistry with most of the wrestlers. So
great personality.
Yeah. Telling everybody they suck. Everybody sucks.
Entertaining.
Yeah. So, and that was a great match. And then they had the send off, and they kind of do, the triple hug between her favorite wrestler, or, her, the Queen's Quest originals and her, and they send her off, almost like they sending off a member of the clique.
Boy, it really felt that way, except she wasn't going to WCW.
Yeah, that's true. Well, she kind of did go to WCW.
Well, she's going to witness protection. Like,
by the way,
for a fake promotion.
Yeah, by the way, Mako and her have their title match, I think this week coming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I only know this because I saw it on Twitter. That they announced, okay, I guess I'll tune in. Like, and every time something happens on NXT UK, I'm like, I guess I'll tune in. And I always forget to tune in. Yeah. Like I'll see the shit get like overrated by like half a star on Cage Match, and then I'll like want to watch it and be like, oh, okay, it was great, but it's overrated. That's kind of where I am on NXT UK. Like unless it has Walter and Dragunov next versus in the name, like I'm not tuning in to watch it. Yeah. Anyway, so go from there. You get the setup of kind of starting up this Shuri in this in Tommy thing, and like they're going at it in tag matches. They're getting paired together a lot. Obviously, their first encounter was more or less the Grand Prix match that went to a draw last year in the final night. They're having these great matches, and they seem to have off the charts chemistry. And then they end up in the first or second round of Cinderella tournament, and Shuri throws her out, and then you're just like, well. You look at Shuri, she's like the most protected woman in the entire promotion. They're going to have to come and see each other eventually. And that sets up the January 6th match, and they just went nuts. And that's one of the best matches of the year, bar none. And at the time, I didn't want to give 5 stars because like, I felt like they fucked me without giving me a draw. Like I was like, come on, man, just give me a finish, please.
From you.
Yeah, I felt like I was stolen from. What were your thoughts on the beginning of the Shuri and Utami stuff?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's kind of Stardom booking 101 and how they build up somebody for a feud. They just meet each other tags, maybe some draws along the way, maybe not. They show some fire after matches, and then they have their match and see what they deliver. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with All Japan Women in the 80s, how familiar you are with those matches, but if you want to see a match that's very much along those lines of that one, it's Devil Masami against Chigusa Nagayo.
Oh, God.
Where there's a knockout finish in the late 80s, very much like that. Meltzer also gave that a very high score, so keep that in mind if you watch that one directly, compare it to Shuri Utami from June of this year. I absolutely adored the draw, and then when they did the restart to play on the story further and they did double knockout, I just went, you know what? We're good here. Let's run this back later. I love it.
Yeah, I was devastated because like at that point in time, like me and Rich's favorite wrestler at this point in Stardom is Shuri, and for me, like the year that she's had this year, like she has climbed into the like Maya and Tamara, my 2 favorite wrestlers in Stardom. She is now my, like, that's 1A and 1B. Shuri is number 2 for me now at this point, given the year she's had. And even before then, like, I just really enjoyed her. And then, the first half of the year, and then by the time we get to that point, and the whole story of her, she wants to win the belt in dedication to her mother who passed, during the Grand Prix last year. And then, like, by the end, at the double knockdown, and she's, like, hunched over and, like, hugged in fetal position, like, against the bottom turnbuckle. I was just like, oh my God. Like, I feel so gutted for this woman. So yeah, like from that point on, I was like, she has to win. She has to find a way to get to this belt. And luckily with Stardom, they seem to have to do this thing where like, they want to push somebody to a position. They get them there. They do the work to make you emotionally invest in them getting there and reaching that summit. And then they eventually do that. It's not like, other promotions, if you will, where like they build a title chase forever and then like they have to be dragged kicking and screaming because they ultimately did it on accident. So I just love the two title chases of Tam and Shuri over the last couple of years. So from there, you know, she ends up having to, you know, the match that's bittersweet because like that looked like that was going to be like a gigantic landmark match for Natsuko. And then she ends up tearing her ACL like some like 8-10 minutes in and something like that. And it's like, this is the most interesting I've ever been in her ever. And then she tears her ACL and she's gone for the year. But like, while she's gone for the year, it ends up working out for the best for Oedo Tai.
I just wanted to mention with Shuri and Utami, that match was like a gateway, I think, to your average like wrestling fan that like didn't have their eye on Stardom. Where once you see, you know, Big Dave, you know, slap the 5.5 they did on it, people are going to come sniffing around and say, "Hey, y'all got any more of that?"
Yeah, it's absolutely true. You saw in numerous articles, even in Japan, you saw even Shuri and Utami getting praised by Western media. It was all that at that point. That was a big catalyst for Stardom in international business and awareness. You see consistently. It's died down a little bit. Shame on the wrestling media, because they should absolutely be consistently covering Stardom as a major promotion out there.
I was going to say, they forced their way into something like the PWI Women's 500, which I don't think they would have been there like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Well, okay, so it would be often when you look at the Women's PWI 150 that you would see like whoever was having like the top run, they would put in the top 10 and then like they ignore mostly everything else. Like for example, like I don't know where Arisa was 2019, but she wasn't in the top 10. Mayu was in the top 10, but that also includes her being in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know? And then last year Mayu was top 10 again because like she had the H run, and then like I think Julie also got in the top 10 maybe?
No, she was up there though.
Yeah, but she was way up there, but like I don't even think Tam was even made the list last year. Which is that sounds absurd. Like you're feuding all year with someone you're feuding neck and neck with someone that's like in the top 15 all year. You're in the A side or B side of the thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're not even in the top 50. What the fuck? Huh? That makes no sense. So yeah, but this year after that, like you see it and you see, the top 3 of the year for Stardom, like they're all in the top 10, and then you see like, for tag team wrestling, like they have Cosmic Angels as a top tag team on the PWI tag list, and Shuri and Utami, and I think Momo Oz even made it too. Is like this year was for a lot of people that cover wrestling hardcore, it made them look outside of just New Japan and say like there's another promotion that needs like its credit and shine, because look at the numbers they're doing, look at the matches they're having.
Yeah, you even see it on numerous apps like Grapple, Cage Match.
Yep.
The amount of people that have started watching Stardom since June has increased. I'll just put an arbitrary number on it, tenfold. It's all there in the numbers. You can see it.
Yeah.
Even rivaling that of, it's getting more than Noah and Dragon Gate, just to kind of put two other big promotions out there.
It sure has. I've been noticing that all year on Cage Match. And like, it's also to talk about it from a Western thing is cool, but another thing to talk about it from the domestic side, to where like for the Grand Prix top best bout, like voting, like it got votes. So did Julia and Tam. Like those are the first 2 women's matches to ever get in modern times anyway, at least to get best bout votes for Tokyo Sports. So I thought that this was a bit of a breakthrough. We'll see obviously we're going to see what the follow through is, but like they're on the doorstep, if you will. That's kind of how I feel.
There's a lot of mentalities changing across, not just internationally, but also in their own country, over how women's wrestling is now viewed upon, because it's got a dark history to it. It's got a sad history to it at times. And when you see something that you notice as a very political award in Tokyo Sports, and it has its skeletons in the closet. When the number 2 promotion in Japan, Dragon Gate, is like they do everything they can to not vote for him and things. But then you see something like, oh, Stardom got 2 matches in Match of the Year bout. Okay, maybe these old men in the room and are starting to have their minds and mentality changed in an aspect of positivity, which is awesome to see.
Bushiroad money is long. That also helps too.
Well, yeah. Little side and envelope to the front. Yeah, sure.
Throw a little envelope over there.
Yeah, like.
Keiji Muda, how much you got? How much you got, Hat Man? Okay, I'll take yours.
Muda's got a lot. I saw that best bout thing. I was like, ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no fucking way. So to go from that match to talking to Natsuko, it's one of those things where it's like it sucks that this person got injured, but I'm also not mad that I'm not watching them either. I don't know what your feelings are on Natsuko, but I kind of just like I don't want to watch her matches.
I mean, I've made no bones about my kind of very much dislike for Natsuko Tora as a wrestler and a character, especially the Oedo Tai version. It was anti-draw-esque. It was an auto skip. Just would never watch him. I got tired of him. The interference. It was evil-esque at times.
Yeah.
And when that match, I mean, I had a visceral reaction to that match even be announced after Shiryu Utami. It's like, this is how this company is choosing to come off of one of their biggest matches in ever, arguably. And they're putting her in the main event. Hatman got balls. I'll say it. I don't like it. And then she got injured. And ironically enough, is it ironic? Could be. Yeah. The company has been even better ever since the injury, unfortunately on Natsuko Tora's part, but for my fandom, it's even better. Oedo Tai got a big facelift. Starlight Kid took over. Yep. She had the heel turn. Now we got Momo at the end of the year going. I mean, I don't miss her.
All of a sudden, you're number 4 in your unit.
It's one of those things where it's like, all right, like, I don't think this person is doing this without, like, instruction, obviously, right? Because obviously, you know, with the face paint, whatever else, she is trying to do, like, the Dump Matsumoto thing from the 80s or whatever else. And our friend Zach from, that watches Stardom as well, mentioned this because he's obviously knows, he's watched more retro All Japan Women's than I have. And I was like, I'm unfamiliar with the Dump Matsumoto thing, but now that I know more about it, it's kind of like, yeah, like, I see why they did that, but at the same time, like, I ain't trying to watch that shit now. Like, I mean, I saw, you know, after Budokan Hall and seeing, like, the talk about hair versus hair matches, and in my mind, I know of the two, or you know, from 2 years ago, the Nanai and Arisa, hair versus hair match, the ceiling. I know of the Manami Toyota and Toshi Yamada match, from, I think that's 92, but, like, the way that it was referenced, the Shikusa Nagayo Dump Matsumoto hair match, you know, in the heat the crowd had, and I'm watching, and I was like, all right, well, let me pull up and watch it. I'm just watching. I'm just like, oh, now I see where, like, Natsuko gets, like, the shitty match thing from. Like, this sucks. It has unreal heat in the building. It stinks on ice. It sucks with no hands. I don't want to watch this. So with her gone, it's like, maybe now, you know, Rossi, Natsuko didn't come to some type of, like, reevaluation of what this was compared to what it was without her, with Starlight Kid at the forefront of it, with, like, Konami, like, kind of like, you know, on a way out run type of thing, with Momo replacing her, seemingly, and, like, with Oedo Tai, like, giving a fuck. Like, it made the year better, like, once all those, you know, implementations or deployment, like, that changed. Like, that whole thing of, like, we're gonna go 8 minutes, we're gonna have a bad match, we're gonna get nothing but heat, and then after going 8 minutes, we're gonna go throw over the rope, we're gonna go throw an opponent over the rope and choke him with a chain for DQ. Is like, okay, we didn't have that this year. We didn't have that in the second half of this year, and this was a blast to watch. And it also makes me worry, like, do we really need to see NASCO in the Grand Prix next year, given like they're going to have more than 20 people that are be good enough to be in it, and all she does is get DQ'd, so what's the fucking point of having her in it? So that's food for thought. But yeah, so, then we go to we get into the Grand Prix season with Utami. She has the matches to lay out to set up for, and the draws in particular to set up her future opponents. Takumi first. I think that the Takumi and Utami match as a rewatch is a better match than Tam and Mayu. However, it felt like air was left out the building after Tam and Mayu had their match. It felt like the crowd was not as hot for the main event as it was for the white belt match. And I thought that the fact that they kept going and they just kept throwing bombs to the crowd, they finally got the crowd to care about it by the end. Like I thought it was a success. I love Takumi. She's one of my, outside of Nine, she's probably my second favorite Joshi wrestler not in Stardom. I can't speak highly enough of her outside of saying like I wish that at some point they get through the politics and make her a red belt transition champion, or that too. Either one. I love Takumi. I really do. She's awesome.
Well, all right, Takumi Iroha. Yeah, I find her booking obnoxious. I don't like her in unless she's signed to Stardom. I kind of don't want to see her. I'm probably on the. I am very much on the negative side of her.
Is it because it's predictable?
Well, it's not just predictable. It's just wherever she goes, the limitations follow. She's got Chigusa in her pocket. She's learned her ways. She knows her ways, and it always comes with the same thing every single promotion. And
elaborate for me, because I'm unaware. Outside of her ceiling run in 2019, where she between Nanai and Arisa, I don't really know what you mean.
Yeah, she comes into a promotion, usually wins the top title, and then loses it right back. She goes to countless 20, 30-minute draws over and over and over again, and Stardom was no exception. She came in, she beat Mayu, then came back, lost. She comes in, has a draw with Utami, comes back, loses. It's the same step scenario with a lot of these wrestlers that go across promotions in the Joshi scene. It's protection booking, and I find it obnoxious.
I mean, you look at what's going to happen on January 8th, and you I get you.
Yeah. It's not just the Joshi scene. You do find it in a lot of places, and I really feel that these marvelous wrestlers would be better suited. We saw him have a good match with the trios from ladder match day. Mm-hmm. And if these marvelous wrestlers would just, I don't know, get the shoot money from the briefcase and get signed by Stardom, I just feel like that'd be better suited and they get paid more.
Instead of the work money.
Yeah, right.
So Rich, you have any thoughts on the Takumi Utami Osaka-jo Hall match?
Yeah, man. They, like you said, threw a lot of bombs at each other. I look at them as both like heavyweight style wrestlers, like with Takumi being, the kick artist and so tough and, fighting back from her ACL injury. I was, between that and then looking at the Grand Prix, I was looking to see if Takumi Iroha was there. She's one of my favorites as well. And of course she was there because she's fucking Takumi Iroha. But I never really thought about like what JD said as far as like the politics that come with her. She did do a lot of. I feel like she kind of out wrestles some of those concerns sometimes. Where even if it's a draw, like especially the one with Shuri, like that's definitely gonna be on my list. Like when we get to our favorite match thing,
Same.
Where like I was just like coming off my chair, just like not in belief of what was happening, and I understand like the politics if I can do that. Like for me, like if she was coming in here stinking it up 3 1/4, like this
stinking it up at 3 1/4.
Just
standards high at Stardom.
Yeah.
High at Stardom.
Yeah, coming in here stinking it up and going to draws and losing by count out, and like you can't really.
She was.
She lost the count out with Kamatani.
Yeah.
But like
that match was good. That match was great, though. That match was great.
But giving you nothing.
I get you.
I would get it, but like I don't know. Like I feel like you got to accommodate the greats. Like she's a great.
I think she's upper good.
There's a lot of talent out there. For me, for my personal taste, she's super duper high up there. Like as far as like, if I need somebody to go, if I need somebody out the Joshi scene to go out here and reach back and get me 5, she's one of the people I'm going to put on my list to go get me 5 if I need it for my life anyway.
We have the Social Suplex draft every year. What do we do it in March?
Normally in March, like around WrestleMania season.
Okay, and like we draft Takumi Roja every year, like, and she's not even a threat to be drafted by anybody else. We just do it, just. Yeah, that's why we always say One Nation Radio's own Takumi Roja.
Okay, I'm probably like one of the only people that kind of don't find her all that great.
I get it.
I do like a lot of her matches. Just comes with a lot of baggage that I'm not a fan of. Mm-hmm. And her style also doesn't quite reach that peak with me. She's very Naito t-shirt repetitive. If you get what I'm saying.
We have ripped a lot on Tetsuya Naito.
Yes, we have.
The years.
Yeah,
that's my viewpoint over Takumi Roja. Very good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. I just have my opinions on her.
Yeah, like I'm not I get what you mean, because like a lot of her matches have a lot of the same thing. Like if she's a bomb throwing specialist, and like for me, like go ahead. So yeah, I get that. Then from there we end up getting the bit of the curveball where like Hazuki wins her first match back after being away from the company for almost 2 years, and then like she just says, "Hey."
Get into it.
Let me get one of those red belt matches you got there. Let me get one of them. And that's another moment of showing improvement with Utami. Like Hazuki, she came back with Kaguma and she was great, but we didn't. I had no idea that she can like kind of knock off the rust and in a month more or less like say, or since being back to say like, yeah, I'm going to have one of the best matches of my career, singles matches of my career, like in the biggest venue I've ever worked in front of, and like, well, aside from Madison Square Garden, and like I love that match. Like it didn't make my top 10, but it was something in my mind of like, given this year, whereas like, if it wasn't for this particular year Stardom, if this was last year, if this was 2 years ago, this match definitely cracks my top 10 favorite matches of the year. This year was super loaded, and it was really good to see. It was like, it was really good to see Hazuki in the element and kind of see like she's going toe to toe with like at this point the way that she was being carried in the match she was having, like a best in the world contender, and she's going toe for toe over her, and like she just couldn't capitalize, end up going away, and the way they've kind of protected Hazuki with not getting pinned often for the rest of the year makes me think like her complete outlook is different from where it was when at the end of her run in Stardom. Like I thought that. And then we get to the main event from the other day, but like, I just thought that I loved the Hazuki match. That's the way I wanted to say it, because like, I really missed her for 2 years. I really did.
Yeah, it's good to see Hazuki back. One of my big questions when she first came back is, where is Hatman going to slaughter? Mm-hmm. And where is Hazuki's style going to fit into the current Stardom landscape? Because this generation of wrestlers that are coming in don't have that 2017 style to them anymore. They wrestle like the dudes these days, which is a good thing. You got to evolve your style. You got to have your Kamatanis call back to Chaprita Ashari from the early 90s. You got to have your Micahs throwing more bombs like Kyoko Inoue. She's obviously not as mobile as Kyoko was in the early 90s, but you get the idea. Yeah. So Hazuki coming in, immediately getting an established top-end title shot at a pay-per-view at a big show, drawing more than Takumi Iroha, I believe. Just throwing that out there. No, Takumi was at Osaka Joe, wasn't she? So that's definitely false.
Yeah.
Takumi Iroha's biggest drawing crowd ever. But anyways, yeah. I'll stop with the funny Iroha jabs. But Hazuki really brought a lot of confidence into me, what she can do for this promotion. Be established at the top of the card, has a big future ahead of her as long as she sticks with it this time around. Third time's the charm, I believe.
Yeah.
So in the world of Joshi never stops, just like MLW. But I'm a little bit more confident in Stardom's way of life rather than good old core power. But
I was gonna say all we need is the cleverly worded press releases from Rossi, and then he can catch up with Core Bauer.
Yeah, there's different feeding of the media from old Hat Man. So Hazuki, good to have her back. Immediately won Tag League after that. Further establishes they got some sort of plan with her in 2022. Whether it's a main event or not remains to be seen. I think a good old tag run is probably in her future, and there's nothing wrong with that. See what else she can bring.
Yeah. And then, I mean, at this point, you get to the match from the other day.
You forgetting about Micah?
Oh, that's
Micah
right.
Style?
That's right.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm not letting that slide.
No, because I had forgotten that there were 4 pay-per-views in the last 2 months. I'm sorry, I forgot one of them. I'm sorry, it happens. It happens. Yeah, the Tokyo Super Wars. Her and Micah in the rematch of, one of the money rematches, but like the rematch of their match from the anniversary show earlier this year. And I thought that this was their best match together they ever had. And I'm someone that
really. Okay.
I'm someone that thinks highly of their matchups. Like I loved their the Just Tap Out match. I love their draw in the Cinderella tournament last year. I loved their Grand Prix match last year. I loved the match that I liked the least out of all of them was their anniversary show match this year. And then this match happened, and they're just. They tell the story of Micah just like beaten up and battered, and she's just a gamer, and she's just like basically have her whole entire, I think, her right arm just taped up like an Iverson shooting sleeve. She just goes out there and throws lariats in suplexes people and superplexes people, and to have her basically like empty the gun against Utami at the end, and then like ultimately like she basically gave everything she had, and it wasn't enough to beat Utami because Utami's on that level. I thought it was an interesting story for now, and like I'm interested to see like how does Micah catch up to Utami in the next 2 years, because it's going to happen. It's going to be fun.
Micah's one of the top 10 wrestlers of the year for women. She's been consistently booked at the top for someone who didn't win a major singles title this year in the respective promotion. Mm-hmm. There's very few that have been able to reach that level and put on top end matches. And this young into her career can't be stated enough. It's an incredible run to watch her. She's got 2 rivalries going from her generation between Utami and Saya Kamitani, and I'm sure that's not going to stop in 2022. Yeah. What I'm curious for what's next for Micah is she going to keep trying to go for these titles and tell like a BB Hulk story via Dragon Gate? Because my conspiracy theory, if you want to hear one, is Milano Collection AT for Mr. Dragon Gate over here training these wrestlers. I think he's in Hatman's ear via Dick Togo style.
Oh God! at least his ideas are better than Dick Togo. So.
Well, yeah, he's instead of Michinoku Pro nonsense coming into New Japan, it's RED and Dragon Gate stories coming into Stardom. I prefer the latter.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys. Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to continue building off this rivalry story with Micah. She going to tell a BB Hulk story, like I said, where it takes like 9 times for her to win a title. I mean, it's not unheard of in Puro Wrestling. I've seen some worries that maybe she'll get into that Goto Jungle Kiona area. I think that remains to be seen. It always depends on the person and how they're booked and how strong they look at defeat. But who knows? There could be a second way they're going about it in 2022 with Micah, where she goes for a tag title run, maybe tries for a weight belt. Maybe there's some other grand plan with her. I'm very excited what 2022 has for Micah.
Rich?
Yeah, I've always liked Micah's like physicality, and I think her presentation, like way she'll come out wearing some of the most expensive shit you've ever seen. That always impressed me, and she's no nonsense, and I like that match as well. That was like the judokas facing off, if I have that correct.
Yeah.
both of them, on the bigger side at 5'4" and 5'6".
Giants. Let me tell you, Giants throwing bombs.
Wrestling.
Awesome, Yoshi. Yeah. So, So like that.
How awesome would it be to see Britt Baker get thrown in there and she just takes a lariat right to the throat?
Oh my
God.
These
Dentist
three,
meet Micah style.
those two look. I like Britt.
Look, I don't think Britt would be afraid of the contact. I'll give her that.
She would not. However, there's just two different levels of wrestling going on. It just is. And I'm not interested. And I'm not necessarily interested to see like that mesh point. I think we're good. I think we can keep her in the States for now. And
you'd rather see Unagi take out a sword and maybe chop a head off or two.
I mean, speaking of Unagi and her sword, that's more like Britt's style for a match, so she can blade and bleed. So go out here and high spot. Oh, she got hit with a katana. Oh no! New T-shirt. Get your merch. So
I got about two Brit shirts.
You got two of them?
I got two of them. I got one gifted to me.
Okay. Did she have one blood shirt or two?
She has two shirts now.
So one from the Shida match in Georgia, and then the one from the Thunder Rosa match.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, and then we end up getting the thing that I think is really interesting for Tam and both Utami, but we'll talk about Utami first, is like you get this faction, you get Momo betraying the faction, going to Queen's Quest, and like that immediately sends Utami and Queen's Quest into, what do you call it, side quest mode, where it's like she doesn't have the title anymore, but she has something hot for her to go into immediately. Without question, and like that's a big thing. Like when you have a long-term champion, take the belt off of them. What are you gonna do to keep them interesting? And I just feel like they're just now waiting to get the belt back, a la Okada, a la any WWE champion ever, seemingly. So I'm, and then we end up getting to the rematch of all rematches, the low time limit match for a few days ago, and I thought like. It's the first match that I've ever given Stardom, like, just, like, initially off the rip 5 stars. Like, I came back around on the finish to, the first Shuri and, Utami match from June, where just like, look, you can be upset with the finish all you want to. However, have you watched a better 13 minutes in wrestling? When was the last time you watched 13 minutes of wrestling the last 13 minutes of that match, like, that were better? And, like, my answer was, like, not really many. So like I just had to go back and just go ahead and just do it. But like after this match, I was totally satisfied, and I thought the finish was awesome, and I thought it was a great story and culmination to that with Shuri and everything. And I thought that like Utami was a hell of a champion, and quite frankly, like maybe at worst second best champion in the world this year.
Yeah. Go ahead, JD.
Oh yeah. So when it came to Utami Shuri, they had vast expectations going into that final match of the year. And I made the joke after watching it, all you guys making your match of the year list before Stardom's Dream Queendom, you kidding me? Make it in the new year, because that was a match of the year contender. It had the story, it had the build, had the anticipation, which is incredibly important in wrestling when you're trying to deliver. There's a reason why Omega Page was the way it was. It's the anticipation and build to it. And there aren't that many women's wrestling matches that get this sort of buzz and anticipation. In how long? It's been a long, long time. And to me, this delivered on a number of ends. And with those high expectations, that was a tough ask of anybody, of any wrestler of any gender. So I was extremely satisfied coming out of that show, and how this is how Stardom ends 2021, and it just gets you super hyped and anticipated for the next year.
It felt like Shuri winning the title felt different than I think any champion that I've watched be the red belt champion since I started watching. Like for example, like B just had it, and like, oh, okay, she's cool. She did her thing. Matches.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
Fine enough, whatever. But from there, like Mayu is like, okay, yeah, Mayu Watani, of course, like she's great, and then all like that. Like this is something that's expected of her, Who else was a red belt champ? And then went to Utami, and it was like, okay, they're trying something kind of different here. Like I didn't feel like there was like this huge demand for Utami. Utami was kind of ahead of schedule in a way, but Shuri, it felt like she was really like scaling a mountain in Utami. And Shuri, as James mentioned, became like pretty much my favorite wrestler in Stardom over the last couple of years, from looking at her and Momo and salivating at them kicking each other and stuff like that to, obviously they get all the buzz from that first match. And I feel like the second half of the year is like a countdown clock. It's like, man, I can't wait till, the very end of the year show, because we know that's where it's going, like especially after the Grand Prix. And they had another fantastic match, and it was, I said a lot of great things about Utami on the last One Nation Radio we recorded before the recording of this show, which you guys are hearing, where it was like, I don't like when you brought up Hangman Page a couple minutes ago, and one thing I've done is looked at, if Hangman can have the year that Utami had this year in like in a comparable way, like you kill for that. Like for any young wrestler, first time champion to do what Utami did. And then Shuri is like just this person. It was like, wow, it was like this bonus essentially to her greatness. And I think the next person that I think the red belt is altered now from Utami and Shuri. It's on like, you gotta, how the IWGP title kind of felt at a certain point where it's like, damn, like only the best gonna touch that. And I think the belt's forever changed at this point.
That's an incredible thought you just had, and now that you say it out loud, it seems obvious, because I think a lot of us fans, when Shuri won that belt, it definitely hit different. It hit what it reminded me of. It was how Tam won the white belt earlier in the year. The red belt just has, at least in my time of watching, it's never felt that way on title changes. Everything always has like questions or just the of course about it all.
Yeah, almost like predetermined or like forced in a way. Like the B title run, like I like B, but like at that point in time, it seemed like it was for some type of particular, like, I don't know if it was a Western expansion gain or an idea or whatever else where they put it on B. And then when it's on Mayu, it's like, well, yeah, look at the year Mayu's had, especially, with Madison Square Garden and everything else. And, I kind of always had I guess a definition for a lot of these reigns in Stardom and Joshi in general is these people are getting to be the main event, and this is what you're relying on them. It's B Priestley, it's now her time to shine. Let's see if we can make her a main eventer. Even Kagetsu, believe it or not, right.
Never been a main eventer, right. Really, wherever she was, and when she finally got the title, it's like, okay, it's your turn. Let's see what you can do. And the same thing with Utami. We all had questions. I myself and my co-host at Red Leaf Retrocast, we had big questions about Utami. Does she have the charisma? Can she rise to the occasion? Is her skill level even there yet? Will they pad defenses with more veteran wrestlers, like we saw with B Priestley? Does she have the tenure like a Kagetsu? Or because there were even questions with Mayu when she had it. And then you look at like white belt runs in Stardom. It's more of the, I guess, story and heart of the promotion and how they build their matches and build the you had your Long Momo run, your Arisa, even Julia to an extent, and Tam this year. With Shuri winning the title, it definitely felt bigger. It felt larger. It felt like the main eventer, as you said, climbed that mountain and finally reached the top. And you felt, I don't know about you guys, but I also felt that with the Grand Prix win.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got a clip of the Grand Prix final where we're just like, Shuri is the best women's wrestler in the world. She might be the best wrestler in Japan. And I said, this is my third Grand Prix watching the entire Grand Prix, and this is the first time watching somebody go through where I felt like if they had been in the G1, they would have been a legendary top 3 MVP run from out of Shuri that this year. Whereas like all these matches are like 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars, like over and over and over through those 10 matches. And by the end of it, after she goes 4.5 plus against Takumi, then 4.5 plus against Momo, it felt like, who the fuck else is doing that, like going 20 minutes and exhausting at an exhausting pace, take a 25-minute break, and then do it all over again at a higher level? I said at that point, like, she is. It felt like in earlier years watching watching the G1, where it's like the person that wins this leaving out of it, whether it was Omega or whether it was Naito or whether it was Ibushi, it felt like a legend. And to go from that to then, at the time I was thinking like, wow, we're gonna get this Osaka Joe Hall like a month later, to where it's like, nah, I got a better idea for you, make you wait 2 months for it. And like the anticipation paid off for me. So I feel like just as far as the way that Shuri feels, and after this run through and getting this after 23 months after the heartbreak of failing as respectfully as you possibly can fail. It wasn't like she was out here getting choked out like Tam was. So I thought that like this was great, and I thought that like she just feels like she might not be as over as a Mayu or a Julia or a Tam, but like let the bell ring. Like, let the bell ring and see what happens. Like, she'll be like, she just comes off like she feels real as opposed to a wrestler. She just does. To me, anyway. I feel like she comes to the ring and like, yeah, she'll do the the head scissors and the cazadores, all that stuff, but like, this woman's in there to like beat your ass and get her ass beat and like deal in the drama and pain and suffering in desperation of wanting to win in a way that like most wrestlers I never feel that from. So I think Rich in our clip, she's like, you don't even need, she transcends the language. Like, she's speaking like the language of pro wrestling loud and clear. Like, that's how I feel when I watch her. Just like, she's able to get like this emotional pull out of me that like Tam can do, but like Tam has to build that shit for like 2 years, but it's just like, just start the match. Just ring the bell. Just ring the bell.
You remember at the beginning of the Grand Prix when they were doing like their fighter poses, like when they were being introduced, like that's what I think of when I think of Shuri, what she did, like that little 6-second clip. Like, and I'll share it on the One Nation account if I can find it. But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like she just, it's like she's brawling, she's about it, and it's like, all right, I'm ready for the smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year of Shuri is absolutely wild. Her journey through Stardom. I mean, I was on my podcast early 2020, late 2019 when she was hanging out in Ice Ribbon. Funny how times work out.
Was that Joint Army?
Oh yeah,
okay.
It was Joint Army era, and it sure seemed like Shuri was primed for the main event in Ice Ribbon. Then she made that jump full time to Stardom, and I mean, I myself, I can't say. I mean, she was protected. She's always been kind of at that main event level from day one. But even I didn't see how high she was going to reach in this promotion. There was just never a guarantee in anything. And to be, this is when you just eat that crow and you're just like, yep, feed it to me. I love it. She reached the top. I'm here for it. Let's enjoy it. And for all the people that are going, well, who's going to beat her next? Who cares? Let's enjoy this run.
Yeah.
That's when you had the best champion. I don't give a shit who's going to beat her at any point right now. I am in it for the Shuri run. Let's go.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know when it changed for me. It might have been the last night of the Grand Prix. Yeah, that's what it was. Like, when she has the match with Micah, because she has to make up the dates because she missed, time, dealing with her mom. Her mom's passing. Where, like, she has to have the match with Micah at the beginning of the show, and then she has to fight Utami, and then, like, she wrestles Utami to a draw, who then wins the freaking Grand Prix, and is like, okay, this is more than just a gatekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was, in my mind, I was like, she's basically, like, when she showed up, I was like, it took me about a month or two to be like, okay, she has to, like, completely replace, like, Konami as, like, the super tournament, tough out, you want no parts of her in tournament play. Like, she took that to another level, and then it went from a gatekeeper to, like, all right, she could be champion. And then she has the match with Mayu at Yokohama on October 3rd, 2020. And I was like, yeah, they're treating her like she's the top woman. She just literally handed Mayu's her ass for like 80% of this match. So, I'm just glad that like, it kept progressing and like she's getting closer and closer and closer and like, like what must I do next? And it's like, you must go through you got to go through that incredible blue block of Tam and Takumi and Utami and Kamatani and Micah to get through it. And it's like, I'll do that too. And then like, now what? All right, well, go do it. Go beat Utami in the fair one. Go beat her in the fair one. And she did. And now like, she's just on the top of the world. Like, I have such a high respect for her. And like, this is a woman that, like, when I first started watching Joshi, I would see her in, like, like wrestling max voltage in trios matches, in comedy matches, half comedy matches on, the second from the top or third from the top on ceiling cards. To go from that to this is just like, the range this woman has, like, she's amazing, and I'm really happy for her. So,
what you just mentioned is, like, the bane of the Joshi scene and how they book, or lack thereof.
No, but those matches were fun as hell, though.
Doesn't matter when they don't draw a dime.
Fair enough. Match Vultures will always have a fond moment in my heart, like Yuki Takase, Nanai, Ryo Mizunami versus like Hiroyo Matsumoto, Tsukasa, and Shuri, and then Shuri is like, yeah, I feel like dancing. Yeah, give me the Max Vultures shirt. I'll dance with y'all. That's cool. Start dancing, and then like Hiroyo's like, hey, idiot, you're on my team. Oh, my bad. You know what?
Yeah, I mean, they're fun times, but that's really been a crutch isn't the right word, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we got to talk about the white belt this year. So we'll do it faster. Julia, I thought, aside from the Natsuko thing,
atrocity.
That I think that's the worst white belt match I've ever seen. Aside from that abysmal, that monstrosity, like honestly, like the balls of we talked about, Rossi, the balls of Rossi after that terrible anniversary show match to like then say, you know what, we're going to after having Shuri and Utami, we're going to have Natsuko come out after they just had a 43-minute double knockout. We're going to have her come out and say she's the next challenger. I wouldn't only do Vince McMahon's level stones for that one, because I was like, this shit is a disaster. This shit finna be awful. This got new eyes on it. This match is gonna get new eyes on it. And like this, they're gonna get to this January 4th show, and people gonna see this match, and they're gonna be like, what is this? But, I don't know how they escaped it. That's all I'm going to say. They escaped it. I think the match was going to be good, but it wasn't going to be anything to make people stick around if they saw what they saw in June. So, back to that match was awful between Julia and Natsuko, and then you end up getting the Valentine's Day weekend show, Kid versus Starlight Kid. I thought that match was awesome. Like I almost gave 4.5 stars. Like to have Shuri and Azumi, I think on the undercard or on the same weekend, and like that match still was the better match. I thought it was super impressive, and I thought that like this was kind of like the beginning of Starlight Kids 2021. Like finally get on the board with a white belt challenge. She had never done it before, and like to just get Julia. I know people feel like she's a tweener and she leans heel, but for me, like she's always been a heel. Like the best she's at is when she's always a dick. Like I just
she's
feel
a bully.
yeah. Like she just like nobody was rocking with her when it came to the Hannah thing at the beginning of when she first came over, especially after like the way she left Ice Ribbon, especially for us nerdy dork Western fans, like to then get to the the Tam thing, and people like wanted Tam to win for years or whatever else, and then get to the Kid thing where she's bullying a teenager or a 20-year. Yeah, she's 20 or 19 at the time. Like bullying a teenager, like trying to rip off like the only mask in the company. Like she's just a jerk. But the match is awesome. And then
she's going full on lucha bully.
Yeah. And then that gets
so unexpected to see that kind of heat that she gets.
Right.
She gets some heat. especially with some of the fans. I mean, all she has to do is some wacky Shoe Pro article, and it just explodes in the Joshi world, acting like she's the worst person on the planet. And she just fully embraces this character where she is the leader of DDM. She's an outsider coming in, invading your territory. It is good old school heel aspect about Julia, and her. Once she got past that Tora match, she really embraced that side of her. She started to really find out what she could do and who she could be in this promotion. And she turned out to be the perfect foil for Tam Nakano reaching the top as the ultimate babyface overcomes the bully.
Yeah, and I think that Starlight Kid match kind of like gives you the point where it's like there's no picking, there's no sides to really be picking here. Like she is full on going heel, at least for this next big ordeal. She's gonna be calling her shot. She's gonna be bullying people around. She beat the shit out of Unagi to set up the trial match series thing. Beats her up. Just completely no-sells her shit, and like just big leagues her, and basically just like get the fuck out of here, you geek. And then sets out the challenge to Tam, which is her hubris catcher. Like I'm on top of the world. Like I almost took this kid's fucking mask. I just beat your rookie, or not your rookie, your young girl. Like you can't do nothing to me. Like I'll even give you a title shot, and just because like I'm such an asshole, put your hair on the line. I'll put mine up too because I know I'm going to win. And you end up getting...
She was putting on that shirt, face, heel, arrivederci, and she was all about a DDM symbol instead of that Transformers one. Love Julia. She's great. Yeah, she was the heel that got her comings to it, and her confidence was her downswing. It was great to see.
Yeah. So
then she started like police.
What you say? You started dressed like police? Yeah. So, I mean, at different points we're all going to talk about the match. So, the Budokan Hall match, like, is my favorite match of the year. Like, it's one of my favorite matches of all time. Like, it just is. Like, I told y'all this back in March to listen to this show. Like, it's going to be my favorite match of the year unless something crazy happened. Crazy shit happened, it still didn't top anything else for me. Just awesome match, great combination of multiple years of storytelling at play to get to this point. And at the end, like this late bloomer, this person that like literally was not a good wrestler early 2018, like all of a sudden is like main eventing, and also with another woman that also people also say isn't good, and like they go out there and have one of the best matches of the year, in Budokan Hall in the main event. And it's awesome. Off to the races. Like Julia is then set to go side quest, and she regroups quickly. She's immediately like in the tag title scene with Shuri, but on the other end you have like Tam what do you say? Whipping the votes almost. That's not the right phrase, but like she goes right to her Rolodex and starts like hitting up like, all right. I got all this. I've been in Stardom for years. I also did Act Rest Girls. What am I going to do for my title run? And like she goes and says, all right, like me and Natsupoi don't really have we famously don't have like good feelings for each other after I left Act Rest Girls. She's in Stardom now. We've teased that we don't like each other in matches. Now let's give her a title shot. And we're going to have this match where we're like disrespecting the shit out of each other and slapping the shit out of each other and pouring water on each other's heads. And then like I'm just going to lift her and drop her on the back of her neck. I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, the Budokan Hall match with Tam and Julia. It was a throwback match from the 90s. That's what that was. And it absolutely delivered on all levels of what it was asked for. Calling back to Manami Toyota, Toshio Yamada. Calling back Akira Hokuto matches, including that table spot right in front of Akira Hokuto as well. It's one of my favorite matches of the year, without question. And when you just go through the list of opponents and the type of feuds that Tam was tasked with for this white belt run, I mean, I give it a lot. I give it on that same level of credit as the Utami run. For what Stardom was able to bring throughout the year. I know a lot of people are going to focus on the main belt, but this white belt run was right up there with just a different match structure and much lower opponents. Let's say, to me it was a much harder task that Tam was positioned with, and she had to wait a couple months to get kind of her first defense in coming off that. it's a tough ask because a lot of hair stipulation matches really get the person who loses that match. They end up becoming more over and more focused going forward, which Julia was absolutely positioned to be coming out of that match. And Tam had the title, so when it was time to finally hit the gas running with Natsupoi, Starlight Kid, yeah.
Those are the two
eventually,
before the Grand Prix.
Yeah. Eventually, Mayu, the white belt, has a history with the white belt champion losing in the 5-star Grand Prix. So how is she going to come out of the Grand Prix, not being the super protected worker that, say, Utami or Shuri was going to go through? Who was going to pin her, and what was she going to do after that? And she was tasked with Unagi and Mina Shirakawa. So when you put those two title matches back to back, and you look at them on paper in early 2021, you'd be like, those are going to be failures. And I can't say that they were failures. Maybe you could argue that they didn't reach as great as some of these Utami defenses are, but much different skill level workers. And I thought the entire Tam run was one of the best white belt runs in the company, one of the best top belt runs in the company. It just happened to come side by side with one of the best red belt runs in company history.
Yeah.
So you put those two together. These two people drew a lot of money for this company this year, and drew a lot of star ratings throughout the fandom. And every single match just seemed to hit this differently on a different emotional level. That's tough. That's tough to do.
Yeah.
Tam is the queen of dramatics. I'll say that. I
was comparing her to Kenny Omega all year.
Funny you should mention that, because we did too.
We had a conversation earlier today that was pretty funny. Actually, we should go ahead and just.
Whoa. We will let's drop it. Do you want to drop it now, or do you want to do it after we get done with after talking about who Tam drops the belt off to?
We'll do it then.
Okay. Yeah. So, but keep in mind, Kenny Omega, Tam Nakano, yeah. They are playing 4D chess, and I don't mean that in a derogatory or way. Like they really figured this out, next level with this shit. But yeah, so the Natsupoi match, you don't even have to know the backstory. Rich didn't even know the backstory. He just saw the video package, and I think he said that like Natsupoi just shows at a press conference at a picture of her, of her and her and Tam, and she just rips it down the middle like a fucking villain, and I just laughed. and like to see the way they beat the shit out of each other, and like this is like, that's Natsupoi's like first big match in Stardom, and like she knocks out the park, this easy 4.25 star thing, and like I wish they had got to it again, but ultimately we ended up getting it with their matches with the trios belts, and ultimately like that story of like, I beat you for your trios belt, I finally got some over you, and not only am I just going to take the trios belt, I'm taking your blue one. Like that was intentional. That wasn't on accident. The Starlight Kid match was freshly after she had turned heel and fully committed to cheating all the time, and that match is like ultimate babyface overcomes all adversity, all the cheating, all the nonsense, and this is like literally out of all the Togoism stuff you've seen in Stardom over the last year with Natsuko and whatever else. This is like the best version of a single match for that, where like Tam gets her back ate up by like going into the unprotected ropes or unprotected corner. Kid works over her back and with Texas Cloverleafs, goes for a moonsault on her back, and she overcomes all that stuff. And at the end, like Kid gets undone by like Tam throwing her into the unexposed turnbuckles and hitting her with a tiger suplex to get out of there. Like I thought that match was awesome, and I think that might be the only red or white belt match all year that wasn't at a Corkin Hall or an arena. So like I thought, like for the setting for where it was, I thought it was a very damn good match. And probably the best match those two have ever had together in a singles form.
Yeah, go ahead. I think outside of the Mayu match, I pretty much said my piece on Tam just to kind of speed it up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then let's go through the Grand Prix. Tam, like you said, mentioned like white belt champions at ELs. The ELs in the tournament, and then they eventually beat the red belt champion in the same block to kind of even it out, and then they kind of answer back and get back those wins. Beat Utami last night, awesome sprint of a match, and then comes out at the end of the night and says, "I want Mayu." Mayu says like, if I had won, I would have challenged for the white belt instead of red belt, and then it's on at Osaka Hall, and like. This is one of my favorite matches of the year. Like they literally like tear into each other. They sell expertly. There's a story involved of them working each other's necks and back. And ultimately at the end, like they go down the closing stretch of a great stretch of offense, fighting against each other. And then ultimately there was no finish, but Tam looks like she would have won if there were a few seconds left, like most very good draws go. And that was the match I was most like. I wanted an actual decisive winner between these two, and I thought we were going to get a rematch. But like, they could do that rematch without a belt. It's bigger than the belt.
Yeah, I adored this match. I adored the finish. I didn't need the finish. Now I was in it for how they were going to continue their rivalry and story of Tam trying to overcome Mayu. And you're absolutely right. The rivalry does feel bigger than a title at this point. There was a part of me that thought they were going to run it at Sumo Hall in December. Now it sure looks like they're going to run it at one of the Sumo Halls in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting right now. And I love the drama behind it, the fire. Even the Stardom fans in Japan really like that match a lot. So it definitely meant a lot to them. I don't know if you guys have seen the top 20 Stardom matches voted by the fans over there. But
I saw it listed. I didn't click on the list.
I saw the list. I didn't see the full 20, but I saw the list like when it was like the top 5 that was shown for like a week or two ago. It's not that hard to find, but I mean, the Saki Shura match made the top 10, which is kind of funny. But I don't know how that match made that. I don't know. Maybe it's like I had a girl for like her filling in for Konami. I don't know.
Yeah. There's always some kind of feel good moment or trolling that could go into voting for sure. But there's a reason that Mayu Tam match meant a lot to a lot of fans, and it's just gonna. I could see this rivalry continuing for another 2-3 draws, knowing Stardom and how a lot of these companies book. It's just how do they get around that and get to the point? I'm sure there'll be some tag draws along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm here for the ride. And when we finally do get a finish, because we will, I'm really pulling for Tam to finally be Mayu, and it'll be a very emotional moment.
Yeah, man. I feel like we're so early in it. I can't properly evaluate it yet because I feel like there's just so much more to go. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm just in the early stages of it right now. So
that's fair.
Yeah, in the back of my mind, I kind of feel like the way that Tam feels about Mayu in a shoot way, like there might be a story where it's just like, she probably was like on some Tommy Dreamer shit, like Tommy Dreamer's like, I should never be the ECW champion. It's like, I should never beat Mayu. It might be that, where it's like, the best it's ever going to be is like, I can tie her in a draw, but I can never beat her because like, she's called her the god of Joshi wrestling before. Like, it might be that kind of thing where like she has that kind of respect for her. I don't know, but like either way, like I want to see them throw down again, in the next 6 months because like, I think domestically, I don't think there's a bigger match they can put on.
It's tough, yeah. I mean, you got Julia Utami. There's probably up there. Probably another Julia Mayu match. Mayu Utami's always in the back pocket. Mayu Tam is right there at the top, and it can't be understated how emotional that match is for a lot of fans.
Yeah. And then after that, you get Unagi who like just fresh after losing the future belt just comes out and says, "Hey, you just had a 30-minute slugfest."
I love the
Nogster. The Nogster. Oh man, this chick.
I have grown to like Unagi more and more as the year has gone on. Now that she is now like, I call her middle child Unagi now. Now that there's Waka and there's Mai there, like, instead of her just being the geek of the group, like she is now like with two people that are bigger geeks than she was, and like she's nice to them and like carries them to the back when they get their asses whooped. But like she also is like, y'all are taking a cut of this mint of money that we were making. Like, I don't really necessarily, I'm not exactly cool with that, but like whatever. Like I'll learn to love you eventually, but right now, like I don't know. But like anyway, just seeing her come in and just like being like just completely oblivious to like what she just saw. Like Mina, meanwhile, is like she sees what she saw at Osaka Jaw. She's shooken to her core of like, I can't believe Tam has this kind of feeling and emotion that Mayu brings out, but I can't get it out of her. And then Unagi's like, whatever, I want a white belt match. I don't care.
Give it to the eel.
Yeah, so they had their match and like it's nothing but just a rave success. Cause like if you had told me when she first came in last October or last November that she was gonna go out here and have like a match that a match is better than 3.5 stars and it's gonna be the semi-main event of a Stardom show, I've been like, you're out of your fucking mind. And you know,
story of the promotion.
They like she showed improved and she took a lot of ass whoopings and she's gotten better consistently. And you know, it's really hard to kind of notice. I think it started because everyone tries so hard. It's kind of hard to notice the growth that people make individually. Because like the top of the card is so high and everybody literally is getting better at every given moment because like the average age and median age of the roster is 25 years old. That is like, it's kind of hard to notice that stuff unless like they're being showcased like a Unagi, like a Micah and like a Kamatani or a Starlight Kid or a Izumi, whereas like you constantly see them just be awesome. And you see like it's coming and it's coming eventually, as opposed to like someone like Mina and Unagi, where it's like they're struggling at the bottom of the card and they just like they're just always, even if they improve, even if they get like within 3 steps behind, they're still 3 steps behind. So you're kind of like, all right, whatever. And to see them have that match was really satisfying. After like the year that Unagi had, where she's like that 7-match trial series, she took a hellacious beatdown 7 straight times. Out there with 7 killers, went out there and murdered all 3 times. She just kept getting up, and the matches with Shuri, where Shuri just beat her ass throughout the year too. It's like, it was nice for her to have a moment after a year where she's like completely got destroyed all year and kept getting better in spite of the fact that she kept getting her ass kicked. Like let me show you what I've learned over the year or whatever else. And I thought it was really nice. I thought it was a really nice moment for her and for Tam.
Yeah, the Cosmic Angels in general came in with a lot of flack. They came in with a lot of negativity. But when I looked, I always like to look at whether you're a rookie of 30, whether you're a rookie of 19. If you got potential, you got potential. Talent is talent. And Unagi showed a lot of talent, even in Tokyo Joshi Pro. And whether she was going to get a push there, that was a fat 0. And she took a chance on herself. She came into Stardom, took them ass whoopings. She played the role player and she moved up to the starting lineup pretty damn quick. And instead of throwing those bricks at the 3-point line, she thought she'd throw some free throws, practice a little bit, and when it came to just getting a starting point guard role, if you like these basketball references, I'll keep going. Go ahead. When it came to look, nobody believed in her, nobody, and I'm just taking the biggest victory lap. Because I was like, you gotta watch out for Unagi, and her just continues to prove everybody wrong. I'm very happy for her.
Unagi, I love the eel. I love the sword.
Breathe with the eel.
Yeah, because she's out here doing Blade Runners and shit now. So then after that, you're getting Mina, she challenged for the match. I hated their match. This is what I will give them. I saw a clip of, because Stardom is running stuff on domestic TV, and they run like a 24-hour thing. I saw a clip of like the last like 5 minutes of their match. It's not awful. It's actually good, but I hated the whole character presentation of her because it came out of left field. Like, I saw her like a week ago. She was normal and also she's crazy and her hair's dyed and like she's on some Mickey James, Trish Stratus type of thing right now. And it's like, that totally was like unearned from a story perspective. But whatever, like I feel like when they have their match in the Grand Prix next year, it'll smoke that match. But whatever, like they have the match. People like it. A lot of people like it a lot more than I do. So like maybe I'm probably just wrong on it. Whatever. So that's my piece on that particular title run or title shot.
Hey, some matches miss.
Yep.
Doesn't mean they're bad or good per se. Sometimes you just kind of cross a line. Where I'm more appreciative of the match is they tried something different. They tried something unique. They knew they themselves recognized probably a ceiling, and them as wrestlers and performers, they went, let's do something out there. And I think they crossed a line in the match.
Codyism.
Hey, Cody misses sometimes.
He misses a lot.
Well, I think he hits a little bit sommes. He's got to put himself.
Yeah.
He's got to put himself on fire apparently. Yeah.
or his brother has to. Thank
God, Mina's not coming out here with some fire retardant oil. But
oh god,
she's like, I'll dye my hair. How about that? Okay, you do you. That's cool. To me, what would have been worse is if they go out there and they had like a 2.5-star match.
They were never going to do that, though. Like, Mina's too good. Mina is better than Unagi, bell to bell, in my opinion. So it's like, I felt like, I don't know what.
I think they're kind of about the same. And I think Unagi's ceiling on a match is a little bit higher, personally.
Okay.
Unagi, I think, is a little bit more athletic. She's willing to try more things in the ring as opposed to Mina. Mina, she has a lot more charisma to her.
She does.
And she tried to use that to her advantage and to get something more out of the match. And Tam, hey, she's willing to do a lot of things in that ring.
She doesn't
to her own fault and detriment sometimes. So, hey, not everything hits. I think it was far from a miss, but as far as doing something new, I'm very much appreciative of that, especially in terms of wrestling. There's too much we get playing the safe card.
Fair enough. Rich, what were your thoughts on the Mina doing whatever that was that night?
The video package alone was like, I knew something was up. It was just like and it's not in English, anything. It
was expensive. It was expensive and well produced, but then it's like, yeah.
I was like, something's happening. And then when Mina came out, I was like, wow. Like, and it was
your attention, different. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was attention grabbing, and it was different. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then we end up getting the closing stretch into the Grand Prix, into Sumo Hall. Sorry,
Queendom. Dream.
Yeah. Sumo Hall from a few days ago. Tam versus Saya Kamatani. More or less set off by the fact that early in the Grand Prix, Kamatani got the win over Tam. Also, she won that 3-way tournament. At the time, they weren't presenting her the way they had presented previous white belt champions as on the precipice of winning. You look back to. I
had a theory behind that.
Is it basically like the G1 for her, or like her Grand Prix, where it's like she's going to get all those wins back?
Yeah, I think that's an easy path to go. But even just coming out of the 5-star, and she was the way I was kind of gauging it, feeling wise, was she felt weirdly hot and going to be champion, and she didn't need to be protected as per stars in the past really did, and. Maybe you guys got that same feeling with her, like it was her time to win.
I felt like she was going to win it, but I thought that she was going to lose again and then win it in like the summer or something like that, or maybe like the spring. I thought that she was going to have to lose again and then come back. Like it's going to be similar to like
the trilogy. She already went through that.
Yeah, but the reason why I thought that is because like they beat her in ways that was like it. I've never seen them beat people like that. Like so, okay, so she
that's what made it that's what made it different, and that's why I kind of bring up she weirdly still felt hot, and it didn't warrant all these draws and protection that people had in the past. That was just kind of my theory and feeling behind it all.
I just was used to. I kind of felt like maybe it's something different, and it still ended up working, and she's still gonna be fine. It just, for me, like, it just felt so different from what I have seen in Stardom since I started watching. It was like, I think she's going to be sent packing. She's going to have to, like, go on a run again.
I guess it made that moment a little bit better then.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Like once Tam, like, won that match against Utami, it was like, she can lose the white belt at any time now. And I figured, like, they were setting up all Saya's next defenses with this rash of losses that were coming. So I thought the title change was coming.
Yeah. That's something I'm realizing in retrospective. Like, all right, who did she lose to? And it's like the same people that Tam beat earlier in the year. Is like, you look at it in a lot of people that, well, not a lot, but the people that, like, don't think Tam had a good title run are like, well, look at the quality of opponent, and these people that don't, that aren't, like, veterans or whatever else, and it's like, well, the point of her title run was like to literally, because after Tam there was literally nobody like in the title scene for the white belt. Like, it had been Tam and Julia for so long. There's like, Julia's now moved on. Tam is going to have to move on from it after she loses eventually. She's not going to have for 2 years. So you have to start building people. So it's like, all right, so what's the next, like, slate of white belt, contenders? Natsupoi, Kid, obviously. Kamatani, obviously. Mina and Unagi, obviously. So, they threw the Mayu thing to draw, obviously. So like, once you do that, it's like, all right. So then you look at who Kamatani lost to after, and it's like, all right. So she had the point lead in the block for the blue block, and then basically blew it against Unagi. Unagi's her first challenger for the white belt.
Yep, there you go.
She the next
Unagi got that big brain going on. She just all you got to do is ask.
That's it. Just go to the ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you also throw out, like, the next pay-per-view in that 3-way match for the trios titles, like, Hamaika pins her. So, like, you're going to get a Hamaika Kamatani match at some point for the white belt. That seems like it's destined to happen because they're rivals. I don't know why Micah hates QQ so much, but she just beats with them too. That's how it goes. I
bet you QQ can't hang with the drinks.
Probably not.
Probably drinks them under the table, and she's very disappointed in them. You see all those DDM ones? She's drinking everyone under the table.
Well, I mean, Tommy did mention that she was drinking a lot earlier in the year when she didn't make Bootham Hall. So maybe I don't know. We'll see. That the Haas division drinkers, of course. So let's see. Who else did she lose to? I mean, she lost to Tommy, but like that was just because like they felt like beating someone. I thought that prelude match was going to go to a draw. The Saki loss in the match in the captain's match, I thought it was weird. Like, they should just threw her over the top the same way they threw over Utami, but like, I don't know, maybe Saki gets a white belt match. I'm joking, that's never going to happen, but like, I just thought that...
Yeah, you never know. Saki's booking is
weird.
It's weird. It's weird, but it makes sense. Where she's got it's like Genki Horiguchi in Dragon Gate.
Yeah, they explained.
Never gonna. All right, so Genki Horiguchi has what's called the backslide from heaven. It was established as could beat anyone at any time type of move, but he's not going to be.
And that's Saki's crucifix pin.
Right, and she and him are not going to be the main event. It's just not going to happen.
Gotcha.
But can they pin anybody with this one move? No problem. It's established. It's canon in the promotion. It's canon with that wrestler. So you always buy it, but you never buy that it's going to be like this big upward momentum for the person.
Gotcha. Okay, because like she be putting Mayu away with that fucking thing.
Oh, she has it in the entire career.
Yeah, I think it's I think the last 3 times they've 2018 Grand Prix, 2019 Grand Prix, this year's Grand Prix, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like Mayu just fucking hit the moonsault. Stop trying to get her up for a dragon suplex. Just moonsault on her. Anyway, so get to the match, and great match. Like, it's one of the better matches in Stardom this year. Like, I think I put it 8th in my favorite matches of the year for Stardom. Like I like this is Saya's best match by a big stretch, and I thought highly of her match with Shuri in the Grand Prix. I thought highly of her match with Takumi and all that, and Tam and stuff. Like I think that she's a woman that like consistently, like if you need her to go get 4 stars, she will go get you 4 stars. But if you need her to go get you 4.5 stars, she had never proven that she could do that until now. So like, you know, 25 years old, only been wrestling since the summer of 2019. Like, I feel like, you know, depending on her opponents or challengers, like, if she gets a Natsuko, if she gets a Starlight Kid, if she gets a Micah, like, she can go off and have a nice run for herself. The Unagi thing, I feel like that's more future seed dropping for Unagi in the future. Sure. And I'm not going to like hold it up to like she needs to go out there and have a 4.25 star match with Unagi. That's not realistic. But I think that you know, if they have a good match, that's a feather in both of their caps, and we'll see what happens with Unagi a year from now.
I feel like for me, I was a big fan of Marisa Hoshiki, and Saya is almost the second coming of her in a way.
They wrestle nothing alike, though.
I may just be basing it like off of like where they are in the company and like their body types are tall and skinny and like I don't know. It's just like it's just a whole thing. But I think she's set to have a killer run because like you just look everywhere. There's nothing but good wrestlers like around. Even if you remove like your like say Tam and Julie are gonna be tied up with whatever they got going on. Like, there's just, you can pull out Natsupoi for her. You can pull out whoever. Like
Kid, Azumi, Micah. Yeah.
She will figure out.
You might even get a situation where, like, they might do an Utami Saya match where, like, Saya beats her for once. Maybe. Probably be on a Flash Hurricanrana where she beats her, but still beat her.
Something like that. And maybe she gets an import, too. But yeah, like I think she's made tremendous strides, and it paid off like in a title win at the end of the year.
Yeah. So now that we are here, let's now talk about the Machiavellian plots of Tam Nakano and Kenny Omega. So this year they both had their runs on top in their respective promotions, and as they won it, you knew who they were going to. You pretty much had a pretty good idea who they were going to eventually drop it to. So you have that. But the thing is, those people are not as good as they are, and they're not as over as they are. And the whole thing is like they're building these people up, but they know that they're the bigger star. So they build them up, and then they put them over because like, and ultimately they didn't really lose because those are their guys. Those are their people that they put on, the people that they more or less made themselves. And at the end, as they're done, they leave, and they're both bigger than the belts they had.
And then they're both like heading off into like hot faction warfare or whenever, you know, comes back, he'll probably be involved in the whole
Super Click Undisputed thing.
And then
Tam is right back with Julia on top feud again.
So schemers, ultimate workers, you know, the one wing cosmic angels, as people in certain Twitter circles call them.
Yes.
Always working, always ahead, always on top.
So at this point, from the Stardom side, because you know we normally put people in for Finesse of the Year for our One Nation Radio Awards. Like, I would like to propose to you, Rich. Tam Nakano wrestles all her friends in her white belt title matches as her being Finesse of the Year for 2021, a candidate anyway, at the least. Because she did exactly what Shawn Michaels was trying to do in 1996, when he was trying to wrestle Nash, trying to wrestle Waltman, trying to wrestle Hall, but they all left for WCW. Tam Nakano was able to accomplish the same feat.
Unbelievable. A smart man once said Tam is like Shawn Michaels on this show before, so apparently proven it. So JD, what did you make of the Kenny and Tam comparison here?
Yeah, I've made similar comparisons myself. Even more so in the idea of how they carry themselves in the ring and, and their craziness to be willing to do just the wackiest things imaginable. They're very overly dramatic and charismatic in the ring that annoys wrestling critics alike. Very unnecessarily as well, which is kind of funny. They throw V-triggers in the ropes like nobody's business.
Yep. Super in-depth layer storylines. They go back multiple years and span across multiple people that involve the same story beats.
Yeah, even if it's across promotions, it don't matter. You best pay attention.
Yeah.
And they will retell that story too.
Yeah.
To make sure you get it.
Yeah. Like you want to talk... Like the
it.
Natsupoi thing, like that ain't number like some Ibushi shit. Like,
I mean, you heard it on commentary with the Saya Kamitani match. It's like she brought her in. She was the motivation. it was all there, and they got real emotional in the ring. You saw it in their match in the summer, which I was a huge fan of, and they won up themselves when the sequel came around.
Yeah. Also, like, the first Okada Omega match, you got the crazy dragon suplex off of the top rope onto Okada. Like in this match, like she gives Kamitani a a tiger suplex off the second rope. Like,
right, yeah, I saw that too.
And then you get, obviously Kamitani, like the biggest Ibushi fan, like doing Ibushi moves, yeah. Like all of it comes together. Like the Golden Love, all that some Golden Lover shit, like all of it. It all fits together.
Hell, you even got Momo and Starlight Kid throwing golden triggers now these days.
Right,
right. Omega and Ibushi and Okada and all these guys, they're just all over this promotion and inspiration right now. Much like the All Japan women were with the WCW people in the early 90s.
Yep. All right, so we talked about the top titles. So let's get on to predictions for 2022. Do you have any, let's see. Is there anything in particular to 2021 that you think you want to mention, or you think it's time to move on to 2022?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it on my year in review cast
okay.
I had with JPQ. He's a member of the PWI now.
Oh yeah, Saki Kashima fan.
Yeah, he's a big Saki Kashima fan. Mm-hmm. We kind of spoke about 2021 really lacked what we'd like to see out of the Goddess titles, tag titles.
Yeah.
That was a circumstance of just how they ended up booking for the rest of the year. It started off pretty good, especially with getting ALK the titles. I thought that was one of the better tag matches of the year. And it just Julie got injured. They didn't really feel like it was necessary to kind of divert from certain plans. Don't really fault a promotion on that. Should they, in hindsight, have taken the titles off them? Yeah, you could debate that, sure. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with title vacation. I don't think it hurt the promotion anyway from how they went about it this year. But I'd like in 2022 to see a resurgence of the tag titles. Get those suckers back in the main event. I think that'd be great. We saw the success that had the first time around in 2021, despite a lot of people being mad about it. We came out of it being really happy with the result. At least I did. And it's too easy to predict Julia being on top for 2022. That's too easy. Let's go with Micah is going to be white belt champion by the end of 2022. That's more fun.
Rich, you got any predictions?
I think Starlight Kid will win the white belt.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, so as far as I'm with you.
Shuri and Julia will feud.
Oh yeah. I'm with you.
Too easy.
I'm with you. So So as far as 2021, they gotta cut down these draws. Like, I don't necessarily mind the draw. I don't mind the draw if it ultimately is going to lead to something. They had a lot of draws that ultimately, but outside of tournaments, like it's fine to go do draws tournaments to make the points match or whatever else, and then like you'll get to answering it, a year or two or whatever else when you have, people with the belts at the top and they'll have their matches that kind of settle score. But they had a lot of matches where just like, they just put it on just because it's like, well, we want to give people a good card, and it's like, cool. But at certain points, it was like, why are you doing 2 on the same show back to back? Like there was one show where it went back to back draws, and I was like, what? Why? So for me, it would be cut back on draws. The tag title thing.
I don't really have a problem with it, but let's not pretend the rest of the Joshi scene doesn't do that, and neither does like promotions like Noah. It's a very pure thing to have a lot of draws just inherently in your promotion. Stardom did increase that, but they also increased a number of different finishes, and hopefully with them expanding their roster, they can reduce that. Right.
Also, I feel that just like you mentioned with the tag team division, it was a missed opportunity second half of the year, but ultimately it cost nothing because Julia was hurt. And like, do you want to strip them of the belts when you know that like that could potentially be their plot device to split those two up eventually? So I didn't. In retrospect, I kind of, after watching Momo Oz versus Fukuoka Double Crazy, watching Kagome and Kagetsu or Hazuki and that match they had in the finals, like if that had been a title match, like I wouldn't have minded at all. But they're going to have that match eventually, and we'll see what happens. But like that is them having those tag titles still is going to be a great way to split them up if and when that happens. So in retrospect, like that's more important than just having the belts out just to have them out. But I think that's pretty much my Nate or things that I did not like about 2021 for Stardom. As far as 2022, I mean, it feels to me like it's an obvious lock, slam dunk that like Kid's going to win the Cinderella tournament. And at some point,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't get that same feeling.
I just feel like you think of who historically wears it, and it's like, who you got? Kamatani just won it last year. I mean, you can go Himeka.
She doesn't strike me as that level of star.
That's where I'm getting at. It's like, who are we going to then elevate to then put into that kind of level of scene? And I'm thinking like, who we got?
Micah? Momo? She could win it again.
I think that she's beyond that. Like, if she wants a title shot, she can just go ask for one.
Well, winning a tournament's an easy way to go ask for one.
Lady C.
I mean, maybe 2022. Like, I mean, Mina's a good.
My point is, there's plenty of time on Starlight Kid. Does she necessarily need a Cinderella? Like, no one. I think the good problem in this company right now is nobody needs a Cinderella win. Nobody needs a 5-star win. You can really elevate. Like, they have done such an excellent job elevating people to a certain level that they now have the benefit of the doubt where they can heat someone up and they feel like they are at that level already.
I feel like a lot of the people that Tam faced in the white belt run like could use a tournament win. Like, I feel like if you ever plan to make Natsuo your white belt champion, I think she would need to win a Cinderella tournament at some point. I think I think the same thing for, well, because they are doing an but like I think that would do a lot of favors for like Mina to go through a tournament and like showcase like that she actually is a good wrestler. So I think that with Kid is like you don't have to do it, but I feel like it's a really nice touch. I feel like it's a really nice touch.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
give her a feather in her cap to say like, look, you might not be the white belt champion this year. You're probably gonna be the champion next year, whatever else. But or maybe at the end of this year. But like, we're gonna get people to have their antennas up for you, like going into December of next year. As far as red belt champions, I'm thinking like I think Julia is going to get her hands on it at some point, but
matter of time.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. Like that's what they want to do. Like
my concern is all about Shuri's run.
Yeah, same here. Like at this point, like, I kind of want Shuri to have her own, like, even though, like, she, you know, Donna Del Mondo, I think the thing that's cool about Donna Del Mondo is, like, while they do have Julie at the forefront, like, she does present herself like a leader the way that, like, Tam or Mayu or Kagetsu has in the past, where it's like, I am on this level and, like, you are subordinates. Like, she's kind of supportive of all of them until it's time for her to take their tag belts, but that's besides the point. Never mind that part. But, like, I feel like they kind of make way and give space for all of them to, you know, to shine individually. So, like, you know, I feel like whatever they do to, you know, if they want to give Shuri her own faction and split up Don Del Mondo and let, you know, Julia get one or two people that are already in Don Del Mondo and then, like, the two goons with her, have a 4-person faction, whatever else, like, cool, you can do that. But, like, I feel like if they're going to feud, it can't just be they shake hands, it's respect at the end. Like, it needs to be like somebody is driven crazy over this belt, or they break up before the belt even gets to that point. Like, it needs to be one of those. Like, it needs to be a blood.
It feels like Julia's
hate.
Well on her way. Julia loves playing that bully. She loves keeping things interesting. That is a phrase Momo really likes saying a lot in her promos.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be interesting. Julia's right in that. She's bringing in 2 new goons, and it just screams ALK Collide, Sumo Hall.
Yep.
And Julia uses these goons to split DDM in some form or fashion. Is that a complete split? Look, this is huge Dragon Gate vibes in this promotion over the course of 2021. It's only getting stronger. I love the 2 new people coming in. Keeps you on your toes. Keeps it fresh. Keeps the promotion exciting. Julia's immediately important in a main eventer coming back from injury, and it just looks like 2022 is going to be the year of the Gulia, as it said on our giant check.
Cool.
You guys see that when she won those tag titles? That check said Gulia on it.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. That was a while ago. Yeah, so I mean, I think we did a pretty good job for going through everything. I guess now it's time to talk about, like, our 10 favorite matches from Stardom this year. So, JD, we're going to have you go first, and then Rich will go second, and I'll go last, and then we'll, go from 10 to 9 to 8 and all the way to 1.
Easy peasy. All right. Well, the good thing is we've, like, spoken about every single one of these matches, basically.
Seemingly, yeah.
One that seems to have slipped a lot of our minds is my number 10, and that's Utami Maika in the 5-star. Night 1, July 31st. This was... I was extremely curious how these two were going to main event a 5-star. I thought it was another Hatman Got Balls choice. Coming on their Cork and Hall match in January. It was a huge test to see how not just Utami being in yet another main event and bringing up one rival to her level, but it was also to see the full progression of Maika, and in a major main event yet again, outside of a tag match, outside of trying to deliver in the Cinderella final with Saya Kamitani. This really felt like a real next level main event for her. And as a big Maika fan, this hit me. If there's three, I have 3 criteria when I truly judge a wrestling match. It's story build, it's investment hype, and in-ring deliverance. And when you get all 3, that's a match of the year. That's one of my favorite matches of the year right there.
Awesome, man. My number 10 match, I'm going to go to the Grand Prix, the Azumi versus Shuri. This was a joy to watch. I remember watching this on my couch on my phone and being absolutely shocked. Azumi pulled the upset win, and then seeing how well Shuri worked with, for lack of a better word, like this junior heavyweight. Like, it was like a it was good to see their blending of styles, and I look forward to, like, anytime like a Shuri and Azumi match. I'm in from this point on.
Number 10 for me, red belt match, Utami versus Takumi from Osaka Hall on October 9th. We mentioned it before, like, these two, as far as their body type, they pair well together, where they're just like, for their particular genre of pro wrestling, like they are the hosses, and one has kicks and does some flying, a little bit of flying, but like it's more or less like when those two get together, it's going to be this, and they already had displayed it from their Grand Prix draw, and it was just bombs being thrown, and it didn't matter that Takumi is, used to ex-Stardom, in Marvelous, not as known of a commodity as the stars that are every single day in Stardom, but like they came together and they decided like let's just fucking do it. and it was fun. It was fun, and like it was showing some heel tendencies from Utami to like kind of be like, hey, she's kind of kicking my ass. Let me like work over her leg a little bit. So I really enjoyed this match. At the end, Utami ends up getting up to Takumi and handling her in much a way that like Mayu could never. Mayu could never deal with her that way. So that was fun.
All right, moving on to 9, I guess for me. I swear not all these matches have Micah in them, but it's Shuri versus Micah, 5-star, night 2. So
the headbutt spot is awesome. It really was.
You want to talk about throwing bombs and then also Micah just getting punted? I mean, this was the journey for Micah it really told into her story of just being the workhorse for the promotion in 2021. And she took beatings. And she dished him out too. And this to me was the big start for Shuri's run in the 5-star as well. Micah was tasked back-to-back nights with these big main events, basically. And she delivered. And who doesn't like a Shuri punt? Let's be honest.
Like, that emerald flosion that she gave her, dropped a run. Jesus Christ! Like, look, I love you. I'll kill you to get this red belt. I don't give a fuck. Like, just awesome. Shuri's awesome. Mike is awesome too.
My number 9, Takumi Iwata versus Utami. As James was saying, and I said earlier, meeting of the heavyweights. Takumi being in a red belt match is always very appealing for me, whether she'll be able to win or not. Another great match in the reign of Tommy, and I'd love to see them run it again. Hope they do.
Number 9 for me, Budokan Hall 3-3, March 3rd, Mayu Iwatani versus Yoshiko. This is a match that like I thought was never possible a year or 2 years ago. Like learning about the promotion, learning about how Yoshiko ended up out of the promotion in Seedling and the Nai and the bad blood between everybody involved and like what she did to act like I thought this was never going to happen, and then she shows up at the year-end climax last year, 2020, and like they're having a match, and like because of the pandemic, in a weird way, like Yoshiko has gotten herself over on TikTok as like as this like this baker of goods, and then with the frown of a murderer, and then like she's a champion of Seedling and everything, and this match comes to fruition, and it's like I never would have thought this would happen, but like I started watching Seedling. I love Nanai and Yoshiko and Arisa Nakajima, so it was like to see that match happen in a way I never thought was gonna happen, and they have their match, and it's like, even though Yoshiko like has lost something of her aura because she's not like as big, she's lost a lot of weight, like she still gives such a vibe of like this is a killer, and Mayu is the best bumper himself in the world, and like they just work together, and obviously like they have all that history together as friends, and like it was just for me, like it was one of the happier moments of watching Stardom. I'm glad that I started watching promotion, that I know this history, and they're going out there and doing it, and like this is something that like if this was in America, in a major American professional wrestling, like this kind of like when they go to Arthur Ashe and they bring out Homicide or some shit like that. Like it was awesome.
All right, number 8 for me was, God, I feel like I'm recounting the G1 and best New Japan matches, but I'm sticking with the 5-star. July 31st again. It's Momo versus Mayu. Now we've seen these two go at it numerous times. It's almost like they're incapable of having a bad match together, and it seems like they just get better every time with each other and trying new things, new moves. This was the moment that kind of Momo Watanabe really made her 5-star run and putting together good matches upon good matches. And it kind of it kind of gave you the feeling that Mayu wasn't really going to win the final, but at least be in the mix. And I think we all like the way Momo throws kicks, and Mayu goes at it, and they did crazy things because they are crazy. Mayu will bump and kill herself for whatever reason. It's Thursday. Like, here we go.
When you're the greatest Watanabe in the business, you gotta act accordingly. So my number 8 will be 3-3. Saya Kamatani versus Utami Hayashishita. The rise of Saya Kamatani begins here. Steps up to Tommy's level, has a great match, and Tommy is tasked with this youth, essentially that's senior actually in age. And they had a really noteworthy match that I really enjoyed, and didn't feel out of place at all when we were looking at the card and we're like, oh, there's a lot of depth everywhere, so maybe we can sacrifice this red belt match, but it worked out pretty much better than one could imagine.
Yeah. Number 8 for me, Tam Nakano versus Saya Kamatani, December 29th, white belt match. This match is, I think, going to be a very important match for Stardom's history going forward, that Kamatani can get this kind of match on the board, given that she's only been wrestling since the summer 2019. It shows like I felt like it shows like the hard work that she's put into it. I feel like it shows the hard work that like Queen's Quest has put into it with her to get her to this point. And also Tam and Kagetsu and Mayu and all that, like, to be able to do this, and for them to have that match and have those kind of like action sequencing set pieces inside this match in a way that like they've been thinking about their match that they had at on July 4th, and maybe they weren't necessarily that satisfied with it, and they were like, let's go back in the lab and let's knock this thing out and make sure that like we can get this to a higher level. And they damn sure did, and they were willing to go through a lot to get to it, because like the way they treat each other's necks and heads was like, Jesus, like that's one of those matches where it's like, they're friends because like only friends are able to beat the shit out of each other in that kind of way.
Yeah, it's like watching Omega Ibushi go at it or something weird.
Yep.
So my number 7 is definitely going to surprise a lot of people, but if you listen to my podcast a lot, you know me, I do love tag team wrestling. I thought this was the tag match of the year in Stardom, a multi-person. It is DDM versus DDM. DDM Collide. Micah Himika against Shuri Julia at Yokohama on April 4th. I love this match so much, I even did my own little statistics analysis on it. That's because I'm an engineer. I'm a numbers guy. I love this kind of stuff. Micah was in this match for, I think I calculated 88% of the time. It was Julia and Shuri just breaking her down. Himika would come in every now and again, throw a bomb, get kicked out like yesterday's junk. But this was all about the Micah show. And Shuri and Julia really establishing themselves as ALK, the main event tag team that they were going forward. I think we got robbed of that in 2021, unfortunately, due to circumstances. It was probably going to be a bigger, larger story throughout the year. Now they can tell that with even more substance in 2022. I'm super excited. It's really established a number of different things between Julia's new character coming off the hair match. It established Shuri as kind of being a part for the ride and getting into the main event themselves. It established even the tag titles being the main event, which is something a lot of promotions really struggle with doing, if they even try for that matter. I just adored this match. Everyone has a match that just kind of hits them at the right place, the right time, with the right structure. This did that for me.
Well, my number 7 similarly hit me at the right time, right thing. Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid for the High Speed Championship main event match. I believe that, I don't know if this was like Starlight Kid's only main event this year. But her and Natsupoi went on it was like they brought the high speed stuff to the main event, and I love Lucha Libre, I love high speed wrestling, the hybrid of both. Both of these young ladies are masters at their young ages, I would say. Starlight, a commanding presence and ring generalship in this match. Natsupoi, we didn't really talk much about her, but she was one of my more underrated like wrestlers of the year.
Same.
I was watching. I talked about her like being this, this dog, this pit bull, like this animal in the ring, like, and she doesn't even seem like it. But this was a great match, and like, for the junior heavyweight division, this would be it.
Yeah, I think at one point before Natsupoi got hurt in the middle of the summer, like she might have been my leader for like most recommended matches in Stardom. Like my recommended match thing is like 3.5 or better, and she was like all over the place at the beginning of the year. Number 7 for me, 5-star Grand Prix, Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe. First day of the Grand Prix, I think that's July 31st. Man. Like, as you mentioned, they've had plenty of matches that are awesome. You can go through it. Like, you can talk about the end of the Grand Prix in 2019. You can talk about their white belt match at a 9th anniversary show in 2020. Like, I thought this was the best Momo and Mayu match I've ever saw. And I thought that the closing stretch of, like, them going to the tournament at the beginning of the year, and, like, they're kind of, like, in a weird territory of, like, they're in like this middle ground of like, can either one of us actually make a run and win this tournament? And like they were kind of desperate in a must-win situation from like out the gate, and they wrestled like it. And Momo just like obliterates Momo obliterates Mayu just like with punt kick out on the apron, gets her in the ring, hits her with like a nasty looking was it a half 50-50 or sorry, chicken wing, her whatever her finish is, that's a suplex, just killed her, and then gets
You're talking about the finisher she kind of debuted in that match?
What's her standard finish? Is it called Peach Sunrise? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Peach Sunrise just drops Mayu on her neck, and Mayu takes these nasty neck bumps, and then she's like, all right. She almost escaped out the back door with a roll up victory. I'm laying her out with a buzzsaw kick. I'm hitting her with my Peach Sunrise, and then I'm hitting her with the Peach Bomb. And like that's the first time she ever broke that out. And I literally jumped out my seat when she did that. It looked awesome, and I was like, this is a great match. Like I felt like those two are for a long time I felt like those were the 2 or 3 best wrestlers in Stardom. I still think that now, and like I felt like they had their best match together, and they've had a number of them. I was really impressed. Still,
yeah, she busted it. She busted out Naruki Doi's Muscle Buster that has broken necks in Dragon Gate. Nuts. Yeah, my number 6. Already spoken about this before. It's Tam Nakano, Sai Kamitani, Wonder Title, Dream Queendom. Oh, we've talked about that match to death at this point, I think. So that's my number 6.
So my number 6 also is going to be Sai Kamitani, Tam Nakano.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Rich over here.
Match. The graduation for Saya to another level. Tam drops off the belt in style. And it was just a brilliant, violent match. A lot of like poison ranas that just looked brutal from no matter where they came from, whether they were outside the ring or them doing bumps on the apron and stuff like that. It was all like really physical, and then Saya capped it off with the beautiful Phoenix Splash. Love it. And pops a white belt around her waist.
No. Tam did that because I made you. Don't forget who made you.
Hogan,
Yes.
Yeah, I handed her the belt afterward.
No. Well, it's actually a callback to when Mayu finally beat Io for the red belt, where like Io put the belt around Mayu's waist, but she couldn't put it around Mayu's waist because it wouldn't have fit because she's too skinny. But it actually fit on Kamitani. So round 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Shuri versus Takumi Iroha from the Grand Prix. This is the first half of what will be my 4 and my 5 and 6. This is the first half of the story of what I have now called like building the legend of Shuri Kondo. For her to then face this woman that has dominated the likes of Mayu Iwatani in recent Stardom memory, to face her in a win or get in situation or survive and get in a situation, not knowing what's going to happen with Utami later because she can win and get in too. For those two to go at it the way they did in a 20-minute span, and like these are two of the baddest motherfuckers in Joshi, and like Shuri comes in is like, you're bad, I'm badder for the most part. In like, I rarely ever seen Takumi like on the defensive in most matches I've seen, and like to see that, it was like kind of like, wow, Shuri is even better. I think she is. I already think super highly of her, so it was awesome. And I want to see a rematch. Bring her in and beat her. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, I'll watch that one. That'll be good. My number 5, we spoke about this before on the Wonder title run. It's Tam Mayu, the draw in Osaka. Osaka Dream, October 9th. Hey, got that story, got that investment, got that in-ring. That's all I ask.
So number 5 for me, I'm going to go with Julia and Tam, hair versus hair, from I think it's 3-3.
Yep.
Just a goddamn war. I remember liking their match back in 2020 where Tam got put to sleep. Tam came all the way full circle here. Of course, hair versus hair matches, I hold them in high regard, pretty much for the reason that the way they executed the match, like where someone's cuts their hair and they're not happy about it, but they're going to live up to their word, and it's a whole thing. And Tam finally got the big win, got the main event. White Belt is went to another level that night.
Number 5 for me, the final of the Grand Prix, Shuri versus Momo on September 25th. Earlier in the year they had their matches in towards last year, in tag matches they would showcase those two versus each other, but we never really saw like what they could do at their peak. We just thought they had nice little 4-star matches, right? And then they do this match after Shuri just went through or just had to go through a draw with Takumi, having to go 20 minutes and basically got 25 minutes of time. And like Momo for the most part is fresh. He had a dark match because of the injury to Julia. And like I remember Rich saying like it felt like the matches, Momo has more bullets in the gun, but by the end like it ends up evening off because like Shuri has just an unlimited reserve that we just did not know about because she's just the best. And by the end she ends up overcoming Momo and like breaking out of that submission attempt at the end, but like she ends up besting Momo, and like I would love to see them wrestle again. Like this match was just like fantastic.
I agree with you so much. I had it at number 4 for myself.
My bad.
Keeping it simple. No, it's good. That's the point, right?
Yeah, man. Me too. So
I'm looking at my paper.
My bad.
What a coincidence. So,
copy of my homework over here.
Yeah, I wanted that match for a very long time. By the time it was happening in the ring when I was watching it, I didn't even realize it. It was like, oh my God, this is the Shuri and Momo match that I always wanted. And then I didn't put 2 and 2 together that they would be meeting. Mm-hmm. And this was just, a lot of toughness, a lot of heart, and a lot of just like, somebody empties their gun and then hold on, I have more bullets. I have this other gun behind my back. Did you know about this? You didn't? Okay, you're dead.
Man, you know what that match had? It had the backstage interview.
Yes.
For both of them beforehand.
Oh my God.
You know what? If there was one thing I would have changed throughout the year, I would have done all their pay-per-view main events kind of in that style. Just a short little interview before the match, backstage, They're getting ready. Maybe just a camera on them before they come out for their entrance, something like. I think that was such a good presentation for the 5-star final.
Yeah.
That really set the stage for what that match was going to be and how it delivered.
Yeah, I remember before we went to the live pay-per-views or whatever else, they would have like, stuff like that, like you obviously have the backstage promos, but like they would also show people like behind the curtain before they walk down. You kind of see like see that, but to see, Yusupon interviewing Momo and then like going to Shuri, and like Shuri's like literally in a corner with Julia like trying to like help her soothe herself before she goes out to war again. It was just awesome. And then like the reason why I paired these matches, my 6 and my 5 together the way I did was because like it told the entire story together. Like they're kind of, I didn't want to do a cop out and make them one match, so I just decided to like, you know, put them right next to each other. And like when she walks out for the Takumi match, she looks like I'll kill anybody to get to this trophy. And then by the end, when she comes out from Momo, she's like has all this doubt and concern, like I don't know, but I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna see. And she saw and conquered. It was awesome. So my 4. Tam Nakano versus Mayu, the white belt match in Osaka Joe Hall, October 9th. A lot of, like, this is the only match I've ever watched where, because of my love for both wrestlers, like right now, they're currently my 2 favorite wrestlers in the world. I felt compelled to write something. I was sleep deprived for days trying to make 1,600 words fit together, but I made it work. And I was really proud of it, because like I got into Stardom because of Freedom and Mayu still being around, and then I heard about Momo and liked her, and then the anniversary show's first like Korakuen Hall main event that I ever saw of Stardom, and I saw that Tam match. I was like, this Tam girl's pretty damn good. And then to see her reach all the way to this, and then like leave the nest from Mayu to reach this peak to like say like you can't be number 1 while riding shotgun as someone's number 2, and then like to get to this point where it's like now they're equals, like, and all this stuff has happened where they left each other in Osaka Joe Hall to get back to Osaka, or not Osaka Joe, but Osaka. Now they're back in Osaka and they're fighting, they're thumping, and they're really equals now. Like, I mean, the fact they went to a draw kind of makes what I wrote feel like even more, you know, like I knew what I was talking about, that they went to a draw. They're actually equals. They're really live equals and went to a draw. So I loved it. It's I just want to see them wrestle again. I just do. It's awesome.
Number 3, maybe a bit low to some other people, but hear me out. Utami Shuri, world title, June 12th, the Meltzer 5.5 star match. Got it 3 because mostly because the 2 matches above it I thought had the bigger story build, the bigger investment hype. I think they all kind of had the in-ring deliverance. This is Stardom we're talking about after all. I don't think that's a worry or a concern. So it's all the other factors that come into it for me on why 1 and 2 are where they're at compared to this particular match. That's a hint going forward. It's everything I want out of my wrestling. It got my fandom at its highest peak, got my adrenaline pumping, got my testosterone flowing. The drywalls are knocked down. Things got crazy, let me tell you. Love this match.
JD, I'm right there with you.
Stop copying my homework, Rich. You're killing me.
This is
At least make it look a little different.
I'm sure my number 2 is going to be different than everyone's. So.
Yeah, that is guaranteed.
But yeah, same thing. I was actually able to watch this match unspoiled. I didn't know the finish, I believe, and it was deflating. To say the least. Like I refuse to give it 5 stars. I was like, no. I'm
protest vote. Same here.
I was like, no, I'm not doing it. But yeah, it was really great. This match had kicked open a lot of people's interest in Stardom. I loved it. I was ready, you know, for Shuri to win, but it wasn't a deal breaker like fuck this shit or anything like that. It was just like. But yeah, that was part 1 to, you know, another match that'll be on my list later.
Yeah. Number 3 for me, Saiki Kashima. Oh, I'm joking. Utami versus Shuri in June. Same things you guys have said, as well as as being your number 3. Just I watched that match and I went into it thinking I can't wait for this match. I've been waiting for this since the Grand Prix last year. And their tag matches have been awesome. Their chemistry is awesome. They're gonna rip it up. And I was like, you can go ahead and put the 4.5, put that in pencil, and if you need to adjust something, you can get your eraser or whatever else, but the 4.5 is like the floor. And then they went out there and they had they had a match of the year contender, a legit match of the year contender. Not one of those ones where it's like, oh, this match of the year contender, where you got to rank. Oh, it's like the 25th one on my list. No, like we're talking about one of the 5 or so best matches in the world for people that watch wrestling all around the world. Like for a lot of people, I love this match with all my heart. Like, and I was absolutely like the finish was gutting for me, and like that, but that 13-minute stretch after that after the draw to get to the double knockout was like, that outside of maybe Walter and Dragunov, I thought that was the best wrestling I saw at any point this year. I didn't watch much New Japan this year, but like I thought that it was just off the charts.
Number 2, Julia Tam, Wonder title, hair versus hair, main event of Budokan Hall. I could go through the whole history of why this match is so important. We've talked about a lot of these so much at this point.
Yep.
Look, it hit emotional peaks that rarely gets in this industry. It had story, in-ring story, historical significance that will be very much looked at going forward. Number 2. There you go.
Awesome, man. So I'm going to deviate. Obviously, I used that one earlier. So
about time, Rich.
I'm going to go Shuri versus Takumi Iroha from the B block or the blue block. This is just one of the most violent matches that I've ever watched in this promotion. And I was coming off my chair. I was recording clips, sending it to my friends, overdubbing them. That's how you know, like, I'm really liking a match. Like when I start sending clips out to you and I'm yelling over the top of the clips, like with, meme commentary and stuff like that. I didn't care. This one was a draw, ironically. It just felt like, I think I described it at the time. It was like, yo, you're the baddest person in your school, but like that other person from across the town that's come to fight you, like they bad too, and we gonna see. Like that's what this was. Lots of kicking, just beating the fuck out of each other, like for lack of a better description. And I love both of these wrestlers. Like this was the shit. Like the shit.
Number 2 for me, Utami Hayashishita versus Shuri, the rematch. No time limit match for the red belt on I almost said February. December 29th. This match is the culmination of what they've done most of the year, and they finally got back to it. And to see the rise of Shuri from like we talked about all throughout the year to get to this moment, it was awesome. And like for them to basically half of the beats from their first match they put into the same match. They basically do the double down spot right at the 30-minute call, just like they did in their the draw in the first match.
Yep. Then
they get back up, they start fighting, and then they big move kick out, bomb throwing, and then ultimately for Shuri to, and I had said this during the preview last week, there's like somebody's gonna have to bring out a new finisher to put the other person away, something like that. Something's gonna have to happen, but it's gonna be awesome. And
were you expecting a one-winged angel?
Shuri goes for that Emerald Flosion, doesn't work, and then she says, screw it, I got one for you. A one-wing Emerald Flosion. I was like, I jumped out my seat. I literally jumped out my seat, and I was like, that's it! That's it! 1, 2, 3, fuck yeah! I was like, Shuri won, this is awesome, and she wins, she goes out there, and she talks about her mom, and like, I start like, god damn, where'd all this dust come from? It's getting hard to see in here. And then I see her get out the ring, and she goes and hugs everybody from Donna Del Mondo. And I was like, God damn, it's allergy season, all this pollen. It's ridiculous. And then, she stops, turns around, and then she sees Konami, and she hugs Konami as Konami's like leaving. And I was like, God damn. Shuri did it again. Twice this year she's made me cry. Fantastic match, fantastic ending or chapter of the story. I think they're perfect rivals for each other, and like I don't know when they're gonna do it again, but like sign me up anytime, any promotion, anywhere. I don't care if it's in WWE. Sign me up.
Oh, let's not get crazy.
Let's cool it, you know.
Emotions need to be checked here.
Let's not go that far.
Yeah, I have it as number 1. I feel like I'm like one spot higher on a lot of these matches than you. It's just exactly right after. It's kind of funny, but to me, it was the culmination of the promotion in 2021. It's the culmination of one of the best rivalries of the year. It's the culmination of what Stardom has become with two of the top 10 wrestlers in the world. You could argue.
Who would argue otherwise if they watched?
It's just an incredible journey that was so much fun to follow. It absolutely had all of the hype and anticipation that reached those emotional peaks that Julia Tam had for me. But man, with the level of intensity that these two were bringing, it was... Normally, I'd be on the side of a Tam Nakano match. On this very day, on a rare occasion, I was on the side of the Utami Red Belt match, and I was ready for the next regime. On top, look, I was convinced Tam was winning that title, and the difference was I was still 50-50 on Shuri Utami. I was ready for either or. I was flipping coins in my head. Would I hate Utami going another 10 months? No. Would I love the Shuri run? Absolutely. I was in it for both stories, and that's such a rarity in wrestling. It feels like, where either result would bring you a lot of happiness and anticipation for what's to come afterwards. I can't in my head think of something that could have gone as good as what Utami Shuri was able to bring at the end of the year.
Yeah, man. Number 1, Utami versus Shuri. Queendom.
You don't say, Rich.
Yeah, you're not gonna dress it up. Not gonna go. Like take the long route. Like, this was a great classic world title change. They threw the no time limit thing on there to kind of throw you off, make you think they were going like long as hell and all that. And I think they ended up going like 33, 36.
36 minutes and change.
So, that's right in the pocket, I would say, for what these ladies have earned. Like, you look at matches sometimes and you wonder if they can hold up. The other week on the podcast, I said, you think about, the pressure that was on, Okada and Kenny to duplicate what they did every time. And I was like, Shuri and Utami have a similar pressure, so I'm gonna and have produced in their world similar results. I'm gonna go ahead and extend them that grace and let them tell us a story. And I knew that they would top it. And for me, this was a better match. And this was crazy. Like, just so many big kickouts, so many, just didn't know where the finish was going to come from. A battle of equals until Shuri just went one a little bit deeper and finally got over the top, and she's the best.
Well said. Number 1 for me, Julia versus Tam Nakano, hair versus hair white belt match, Budokan Hall, 3-3. Man, you ever have a dream? I know it's Tam Nakano. You can do this Stardom dream, whatever. I don't mean like that. Like, you ever dream of something or invest in something and want something to happen, or hope or wish, whatever you want to call it, and then it happens, and it happens on a stage so bigger than you ever would have imagined. Like, for me, if Tam had beaten Julia in a non-COVID world in 2020, I'm sorry, not Julia, but Arisa Hoshiki in 2020 in a non-COVID world, it would have been great. I'd have been happy. It would have been one of my favorite moments in watching wrestling ever. Watching wrestling most of my life, and that unfortunately didn't happen. But I ended up getting something even grander, something even deeper, and with a more heated rival. And this was awesome. I think back of like Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. I think back of Sting before the fast count nonsense at Starrcade 97. I think back of Austin at WrestleMania 14. I think back to like after I stopped watching wrestling because of Triple H's Reign of Terror to like getting back into wrestling, like thinking of Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30, Bayley at TakeOver Brooklyn, Gargano at TakeOver New York, Kenny Omega at Dominion 2018, and like all of those moments, like this is up there with that for all you American fans or people that are still listening that don't watch Stardom or whatever else, and I don't know why you now almost 3 hours into just listen to it. Like for me personally, like that was as satisfying as any of those. Fantastic. Like I can't turn that match. This is like the only match I think I've ever had where like I can't turn it on by myself without crying. I just can't. It's just awesome. An amazing match. Culmination of years of somebody that was always over at a top level, always had fan support, always was super charismatic, all like from what I saw like for years had it good enough to wrestle at that level and just was presented that way. And you find out about all the behind the scenes things she's done and the people that she's inspired to get into wrestling that are in the company now, whether it's Lady C or Kamatani or at the time Isuki Yoshino. And like for her to finally get her moment at Budokan Hall of all things is like mind blower, fantastic, one of my favorite matches of all time.
Love it.
With one of the most ridiculous slap battles you'll ever see too.
Oh God, their faces after that match, brutal.
I remember at one point I typed in Tam Nakano in a search thing and like I don't know what it was. I think it was a boxer. It was a clip of a boxer that was eating like big shots to the chin. And like the person like in the caption said, this person has Tam Nakano chin. after these slap battles she's had this year and these slugfest she's had, like this woman has a jaw of titanium.
She's not going down in the second round because of a glass jaw, that's for sure.
No. But yeah, this is great. JD, thank you so much for doing this. We need to have you on more often to cover some of this stuff in Stardom.
Happy to.
Please.
Anytime.
Yes. Please give us your plugs.
Yeah, Red Leaf Retrocast, anime, gaming, a lot of wrestling content I put out. I like concentrating on the business aspects, a lot of booking discussions. I'm doing a retrospective on Ice Ribbon right now over on the patreon.com, Red Leaf Retrocast. I'm about to break down some possible controversial takes, but there's data to back it up. I'm a numbers guy, so I love pointing to attendances. I love pointing to champions and what they're able to draw. Also do the Joshi 2010s journey, which was the whole point of starting the Patreon in the first place, covering the Joshi scene, women's wrestling out of the dark ages, starting in 2010. So you can learn a lot there. That's over on the $1.50 tier. $5 tier has a lot of other content. I just put out 3 episodes over the Restival at Beyond Wrestling. I went to 5 shows across 3 days. I'm exhausted. Putting out a lot of content over there. I do LLPW reviews. My co-host does JD Star reviews, which is another promotion from the early 2000s, which has a lot of historical context for how Joshi promotions were kind of able to survive in the dark ages to an extent.
Isn't that where Rossi went after RCN went down?
No. That's where Jaguar Yokota went.
Yeah. For some reason, why did I think of... I could have swore that they worked together after
you might be thinking of A to Z, maybe, that came in after RCN, but that's a conversation.
Whatever. I'm wrong. I'm messing up your plugs. Yeah. My bad. I'll edit this out.
It's okay. Nah, keep it in. It's better that way. So yeah, Red Leaf Retrocast Wrestling. I like also covering WXW, which is a promotion out of Germany. Promotion near and dear to my heart. I spent time in Germany, long time, school, university. I hope everyone kind of checks that out. A lot of Joshi talk. Look, it's women's wrestling. I love it. Big fan. I love going over a lot of history. Got a lot of content we put out over on the Patreon and on the podcast itself. I would love to have you guys on in the future. Hopefully you can join me.
Definitely. Don't have me to go over no old Joshi, but like if you want me to hop in to talk about, a dying seedling, sure.
Right after we talk about dying Ice Ribbon.
Oh man.
Dying Wave. Dying Diana.
Oh man. It could get bleak. It really could.
Well, who knows? Maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel for some of these promotions. I would be a little bit more bullish on Ice Ribbon than I would be over Seedling right now, if I'm being honest. But it's a conversation for another day and another podcast.
Yeah. Yes. Seedling's like a freaking produce show at this point. So
a lot of them are.
Fair enough. That's in the show. Thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. Donations. Go to the Red Circle and drop us off a donation. We work hard for y'all. Also, I don't know if we're past it yet, but if you have missed it, go to our page and listen to the FOH draft. FOH draft is a draft every year that we do amongst us and the two members of Keepin It Strong Style, Josh and Jeremy, and we get drunk and we shoot on the terrible things that happen in pro wrestling of the year annually. I think this is our fifth year doing it? Fifth year doing it. So go ahead and hop on to there and drop us off a donation for the show. Pay what you can, and check out the other shows on Social Suplex. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, you have the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, you have Grumman Watch This Shit, you have the Grave Consequences Podcast, you have 8-Bit Suplex, you have All Things Elite, you have Great Match Generator, and you have AEW Match Guide. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.